Hello, everyone, and welcome to podcast number 169 here with SmashBoxxTV. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V.
Hi.
Hi, how we doing tonight?
I think we're doing all right.
I think we are.
We got some good stuff, fun stuff tonight, Terry. We got Sara Hokom.
Yeah, we do.
We got Dana Vicich. We've got a possibly maybe announcement, big, maybe from us.
Maybe, big
Maybe.
announcement. Okay. I think we've got some updates from the Next Gen Tour.
We do.
Which is going to be wrapping up this weekend with, of course, a live broadcast from the final 18 holes, 2 sets of 9, that'll be taking place on Sunday. I believe that's 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Dave Feldberg was going to possibly shoot over a little video of some sort to give us a few updates and details. I know we had him on last week, and I said that we got a little bit of a wonky schedule this week, so we may see a little video update. We also then have the press release that was announced today, too, giving out a few more details regarding the Next Gen finale taking place. So one way or another, we're going to give you some Next Gen updates. And as you mentioned, we missed her last week. We didn't quite connect. So having our Phoenix Ladies Open champion, Sara Hokom, join us for the show. It's been, as the kids say, it's been a minute since we've had Sara on the show, so glad to do so.
Yeah.
I hate that phrase so much.
It's been a minute.
I hate it.
Well,
I understand it's part of the pop culture these days.
The pop cultures.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about pop culture.
All right. Speaking of pop culture, do we have any Terry timestamps here? As I like to say, a few weeks ago, we started timestamping. This is podcast 169. It's November 14th. Any quick timestamp references here in news or pop culture?
In the news or pop culture?
Scandals with actors going on.
Oh, yeah. There's
particularly male ones.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to be much of a timestamp.
No, I think that's going to be like the previous 3 weeks to a month to probably the next month or so. I think a lot of stuff's going to come out. Thor Ragnarok was released, another big Marvel movie. Marvel's 19th #1 movie in a row, or I believe is 17th or 19th. It was good. I saw it twice already. So
okay.
I went with it.
Good.
So,
then it sounds like you saw it once for me. So
I did. A buddy of mine ordered 4 tickets for us, for myself and some friends. He calls the day of and says, "Oh my gosh, my brother fell off a ladder up in Green Bay, broke his neck."
Would that be his step brother?
No, wow. Broke his neck. 2 vertebrae. Wow. 2 vertebrae in the front and the back were both broken. And so he couldn't make it. So he sent me the tickets. We went without him. And then I said, hey, whenever you get the chance, I'll go again with you. So thankfully, his brother, doing really well, is going to lose a little mobility, but ultimately should make a quote-unquote full recovery. Crazy. I mean, could have been 100 times worse.
But benefited you.
I got to go see Thor Ragnarok twice. So, yeah. So that is what's going on right now. Other than that, I think we're in a little bit of a pop culture lull.
Excuse me, my joke's going to kill me at this rate.
It really will.
And I only just happened to pull up a quick news source, and this is something I don't even know anything about. It says breaking news.
Another one.
Elementary school.
Some guy, I didn't hear much about it. He kind of went in and, again, got some people up, went to a school and elementary school.
Yeah, it just says California shooting leaves 5 dead and 10 wounded.
More garbage. Those like I said, those no longer date anything.
I know.
So I don't even like to bring them up at this point, and unless it's a big one, which is really depressing to say.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we're gonna have Dynamite. I know we missed him last week.
We did.
Yes, we did miss Dynamite. But we're gonna have him joining us in just a few minutes. He's gonna give us some updates. I think it's time for Movember, which our good pal DG Mike's going to have some updates
he's out
as
there
well.
Watching.
And I'm sure we can get some updates coming out of Mike. And then also I know Dana's going to have some other details for us. And another big thing that we'll touch on a little later in the show is a little earlier today, I watched a Q&A. Those cute little guys over at Dynamic Disc had a Q&A session, which I really love. They had a Q&A session just prior to the opening of the Glass Blown Open registration. And that went off at 7 o'clock Central Time, and literally by 7:05 they had like 800 or 900 registrations. There's hundreds of people on waiting lists, and
so, but maybe depending on what field you're in, there's probably a few openings
Yeah,
yet.
so specifically,
Probably not advanced.
no. Advanced was sold out in like
Literally
like 2 minutes.
How about advanced masters for us? I'm just saying, Tara. Next year we can do it.
No.
Come on, Terry. Terry.
I know intermediate.
What's your rating?
Supposedly it went up, is what someone referenced today.
Whatever.
But I know intermediate sold out, advanced is sold out. They literally took like 700 or 800 registrations in the first few minutes. It is just a little quick update for everyone. On the open side, you have to be 1,000 rated or above, and on the pro women's side, you have to be 900 rated and above. Get out and register immediately if you fit that criteria. If you're in any other amateur division, you're probably getting on a waiting list. But we'll dive into all that a little bit later. But that's a quick update or reminder for you that if you're one of our top-level pros listening in, as I know you all do.
They do.
Go out and get registered to secure your spot. So, speaking of top-level pros, taking himself to the finals at the Disc Golf Pro Tour, earning himself a card, earning his way into the hearts of even more people at home, Dana Vicich.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Dynamite. First question. Are you registered for GBO?
That's a big GBNO.
I see what you did there.
No.
Because you're not 1,000 rated?
I'm not 1,000 rated anymore.
Those four digits. They were sweet while they lasted, I bet.
That's the Jamie Thomas 4-digit separator right there. You can't play GBO.
Yes. Yeah. So not registered. Assuming there's spots during the next wave of registrations, is that an event that's going to be on your list for next year?
I was thinking about it, and we were talking. I was talking with Ashley about it, and it probably won't be. That's going to be about the time she's going back to school, coming off maternity leave, and the weekend before is a big A tier in Illinois, the Rumble in the Quad Cities. So I think just logistically speaking, and I won't be able to pull it off, especially if I'm going to play the Rumble, which I usually hope to do. It's one of my favorite events of the year. A lot of good courses, and they run a good event. You were there for M Worlds. You saw what they have to offer in the Quad Cities, and yeah, it just tough timing, and I've got to really pick and choose during the school year, and most likely it's gonna end up with me not going, staying home. So, but I'm okay with it. A few years ago, I would have been all over it.
I know Double D's is gonna miss you. Dynamic.
Yeah, I was hoping to make it back, but and my good friend Sam Ball he's actually moving back to Kansas. I was like, hey, maybe I could go down GBO, see Sam, and but yeah, bad timing. Bad timing.
What do you think about the madness?
Are you going to be there?
I don't know that we've secured officially.
We just next week.
Are we making any big announcements?
No, but next week we
they're
have
paying
Jeremy
us triple.
Rusko. Next week we're gonna have Jeremy Rusko on. They've got some announcements they want to make, and we talked to him about it. And so what we'll do is we'll basically trap him and beg, more or less convince him. We'll talk to Bobby beforehand, give him a few drinks in him. Rusko's always a little bit more friendly with a few drinks in him, so we'll get him to say yes.
Hopefully we'll be there in some capacity. They've been so supportive of SmashBoxxTV and of live broadcasting throughout all these years. It's more than obvious that they firmly believe in media coverage on multiple levels. You know, the social media, along with all the traditional stuff that they do in photography and video and everything else. Looking forward to another great GBO experience. What do you think about that madness of? I mean, they were on. It was Doug and Bobby Brown sitting there. They're doing a Q&A, and then it rolled right into the 7 o'clock opening. and literally within 2 minutes, there was like 300 or 400 people signed up. What do you think about that madness?
It's crazy. It's for the divisions that instantly fill up, would hope that there's a fair way other than just who can click the fastest. But maybe that is the fair way. You got to be sitting on the computer and ready to roll, and hopefully have better internet than me, and submit your entry fee as registration as quick as possible. But it's got to feel good for the GVO people.
Two things,
the crew,
Dana.
the staff, the town.
I think it's, one, I don't think it's your internet connection at this point, but two, they gave an option. If you were a pre-purchaser of a spectator pack last year, you had the option to register earlier than other players.
Really?
Yes. So that gave you a in to the GBO. So if you're thinking about playing next year already, to 2019, and you didn't get into 2018, look for that spectator pack. I'm not saying they're going to do the same thing, but it doesn't hurt. So just be aware that gives you a little bitty bonus into the GBO.
That's a good pro tip, Johnny. I like it.
And or the alternative to buying a spectator pack, move outside the U.S. They've also taken or allowed for international registrations to come in a little bit early. I think there was 100 and some people already registered prior to it opening to the rest of the people tonight. So like I said, move out of the country so you can have a better chance of getting into the GBO.
Yeah, there was a small hubbub. People were like, how are there already AM names on there before the registration? And Bobby, or I'm assuming it was Bobby, came on under the DD name and said, these are spectator pack people. These are people last year that went out and bought the spectator pack to get that head start. So it might, it might cost you a little bit extra money, but you get stuff in the spectator pack and all that other fun stuff. So if you're dead set on it.
Yeah, and if you get a guarantee into the event the following year, it's a no-brainer. But I saw Deanne Arlen talk about the Beaver State Fling, their AM lottery. Like, they have an actual lottery because it's so crazy to get into the event. And man, can you imagine that? Your hometown or your big event for the year that's an hour away, less than an hour away, and you might not be able to play it. You might not be able to get in. That's craziness, madness.
Yeah, it's an interesting problem that we have, and then we've said it a million other times. Everybody has all sorts of ideas once it does sell out, and then all the creativity and all of the engineering comes out by everybody else. Well, just add another chorus, or let us play at midnight, or they come up with all sorts of, add 19 ghost holes. It'll fit easily, no problem, and all sorts of other ideas. But for some events, well, that's quite an interesting problem to have, is just the demand is so insane that you're selling out in a matter of minutes. And
great.
Exactly. So, and there's no fix for some of that. I know that on the AM side, I think, and before we move on the AM side, other than obviously signing up for divisions in which you're eligible for, there is no kind of, we'll say, tiering or qualifying that takes place. I think that was one of the questions asked is, could you guys tier even the registration? Which, could you imagine if you said, okay, intermediate registration is open tonight, but it's only for people rated 925 to 935, and then 915 to 924? Like, that would become,
promotes bagging, and it's a pain in the butt.
I don't know if it promotes bagging, but it just tiering the registration process within each of those divisions.
What happens, it'd be funny to do, you say, all right, advanced 970 to 950, get in first, and then anyone over 970 screwed, which I think would be kind of funny, because in theory you think, well, 970 and above is quote-unquote pro caliber according to our PDGA ratings slots.
Sure.
So I think that would be an interesting way, but I would rather just, I kind of like the way they're doing it this year. You know what? You really want to be a part of it? You have a chance. Here it is. This is how you do it.
I didn't even hear of that option, so that's interesting. The spectator stuff. But all right, we can move on. We're here in November, obviously also referred to as Movember by so many. You have a good friend. We have a good friend. He's the good friend of all of disc golf, DG Mike, and clearly your face is in support of what he's got going on. At least I hope that's it. Tell us what's going on.
Swipe right for DG Mike. Yeah, he is running his annual Movember event this weekend at the Canyons in Delwood in Lockport, Illinois. Playing one round at 27, but Mike's he's been raising money outside of the event for his Movember campaign, and I believe Johnny has so kindly posted the link to Mike's page. But he's promoting men's mental health, and he just bringing that to light and raising funds for that, and it's something that he feels strongly about. I don't think he's on the board right now. He's got bowling league tonight, so he's out partying. Which is probably why we don't see him. Maybe he'll check in a little bit later, but knowing DG Mike, he'll be out all night because it's Tuesday and it's Chicago. But yeah, if anyone has $1 or $2 and wants to donate, I know he would be appreciative, and I'm gonna go out. I'm not gonna play in the event, but gonna go out and support. Maybe help him out in the morning with registration, check-in, whatnot, so on and so forth. His parents are there. They're helping it with the event, grilling sausage. Italian sausage, brats, all kinds of stuff. So if you're in the Illinois area, you want to come play a great course at Delwood, play a round of 27 for a good cause, come on out. I think the tee-off is around 10 o'clock-ish. So DG Guy just posted a link there on the chat board. So, yeah.
And for those,
you can show up and have a mustache.
Is there going to be any kind of contest?
You might be eligible for some special prizes, Terry, is what I hear. Have you ever rocked a mustache? I think you could pull it off.
No. I mean, one obviously can grow, but it doesn't, no matter how long I'd let it go, it would never do justice to your face. I mean, it seriously wouldn't. And I'll admit, I'm kind of disappointed. I wish I could get a little bit more creative with it. And I just feel like no matter how long I would let it go, nothing like that would
you don't know until you try.
Yeah.
If I let mine,
how long does that take you, Dana?
If I let mine grow all November, it would be about half as thick as yours by the end of November right now. And for those of you that are listening to the audio podcast, if you go to mobro.co, so that's mobro.co/Fierke, FIERKE. That's where you can make a donation. All the donations this year, I think they change. I don't know if it changes every year or two, but this one, it says Movember has helped me personally overcome some of the stigma surrounding mental health, and trying to do the same for others is important to me. So a lot of this is going to mental health awareness, and Mike has raised $6,883 since 2013. So mad props to Mike.
So I'll just throw this out here now, and you're going to see these a little later when it comes to our Patreon giveaways, but I've got 3 silly pints from the inaugural year from last year from the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Here's a Pro Tour one. Here's one with the Green Mountain Championships. And here's, I don't know if this one glows or not, but it's from the Majestic. How about this? If you contribute tonight on DG Mike's page, go out there, do a screenshot of you making any kind of contribution tonight. You're eligible. And I will take everyone that donates tonight by the end of podcast. So you got to be live to get on board here. But I will then randomly select one of the donators and then send a silly pint out to you. So you donate to Mike and what he's doing over for Movember, and then I'll send out a silly pint. I'll pick one of the contributors and send one out.
So take a screenshot of your donation and post it on our Smashbox Facebook page.
Yep.
And we will make sure that by sometime tonight, by the end of the night, anyone that does that will be eligible, and we'll give away one of those for somebody. So
there you go.
There you go. There you go, DG Mike. You've got your plug. You've got your time. Let's talk about some disc golf.
Let's talk about that picture first.
All right.
That picture on the website.
I think that's for my wedding. Quite possibly. He was rocking a stash then. Well, hey, what do you guys think of my stash? I've got mixed reviews.
You look like Bernie Brewer.
What's that?
You look like Bernie Brewer. Honestly.
Yeah.
If you're going for a unique look, you absolutely nail it. I love it. And again, there's a little bit of jealousy here. I could not get something like that to happen. And I give you a lot of credit for being able to rock such a look. I couldn't do it even if I wanted to.
Yeah, I've been rocking it for almost 2 weeks now. Basically since I think the beginning, just about 2 weeks. So, I'm dreading getting a call to go substitute teach. Thankfully, I'm really busy now, so I would turn it down anyways. But I don't know if I could face a group of high school kids and not.
It'd be a great conversation piece that they need to know that stuff too.
I would. So if you shaved it completely off tomorrow and started over, you're saying that in under 2 weeks you could replicate what you have.
No, I had a beard, and I shaved my beard.
Okay.
Into this. So no, I could not replicate this. This is man. Come on.
So the real question is, what does your wife think of it?
She's pretty cool with it, but I mean, she's we're less than a month from due date, so I mean, she doesn't really want anything to do with me. So mustache, I don't think it's bothering her right
now. So that might be the security blanket to not having a third child, even perhaps.
No, actually, I think she likes it. She doesn't hate it. So I think the problem is I have to keep my face shaved, because if I don't, it obviously gets pretty rough pretty quickly. So as long as I keep the face shaved with a razor, which that's not something I usually do, but I think she can deal with the mustache as long as I do that. So
all right, fair enough. All right, so Dana, we'll keep people updated. Hopefully we keep seeing some screenshots come in. Make any kind of donation over to DG Mike. Become eligible to win a silly pint. That's for tonight and tonight only. And if there's only 2 of you that do it, well, then you get a 50-50 shot at doing it. But hopefully there's at least a dozen or so people that make some form of contribution over to DG Mike's cause on the website posted. What are we seeing in the world of disc golf taking place right now, Dana?
Yeah. Well, we're in November, so that means 2 things. There's tournaments in Arizona, Texas, and Spike Hyzer. So I'm basically going to touch on a couple of those events. So let's start out in Arizona. The Cactus Championships presented by Latitude 64. It was a 2-round event, and AB, Anthony Barela, came from behind. He was down after the first round, ended up winning by a stick over Preston Johnson. Paul Ulibarri, still playing disc golf. He's been playing all year long. He finished 3 strokes behind first place, and then his brother, Pete, finished right behind Paul. So we had the Ulibarri brothers nailing down the 3rd and 4th spots. But Paul has played 36, 37, like almost 30, I think 38 events, if my math is correct, 37 or 38 events, which is pretty crazy because he's playing all the big events, which are 3-4 day events this where we're at now. And to fit in, so he's playing all those big ones, and then in the off weeks, he's playing B tiers or C tiers or A tiers. He's playing basically every weekend. It's pretty incredible, and I think he even took a little time off there in the middle to work on his putt. We kind of saw him struggling mid early season, and he went home and worked on the putt for a few weeks and came back on tour and really had a resurgence on that second half of the season. But he's still playing, and looks like he's in Arizona now, so he'll probably be playing every weekend from here out. On the open side, Katrina won by a bunch over Azriel Rogers. Looks like Kat shot probably a little bit of right about her rating. Not quite there, but strong enough for a 14-throw victory there.
How deep was that? I apologize. I was just going to ask, how deep was that field? And Johnny's telling me it was 4. There were 4 pro women with Kat, and then
yeah.
Okay.
It's funny to see that Kat isn't currently a PDGA member
I'm guessing they just didn't attach her number to the event.
in the event.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
there's a
all
few
that
because
is.
it says Anthony Barella.
Yeah, they just didn't attach.
I
put his
thought maybe
number
for
in
some
there.
reason their membership had expired, but I'm like, that's not really possible.
No, it's really not. No, it's just they need to just attach their PDGA number on the
Hmm.
TD spreadsheet and then re-upload it.
I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah, eventually. So it wouldn't be a Tuesday night in November if we didn't talk about Spike Hyzer.
Mhm.
This might be the longest tournament name I've ever seen in my life. Spike Hyzer's Bark Buster Bonanza 6, presented by Innova, with support from Rocky Mount. That almost goes that almost goes all the way across the whole PDGA window thing, whatever you want to call it. But that's pretty impressive. Has anyone, before we get to the results, has anybody seen a bigger tournament name?
Absolutely not, because there's even when like I think of the event I'm running in 2 weeks, you can sign up for but even like, so I'm hosting the Cold Turkey 12 presented by Innova, and then it will say all pros plus all advanced Saturday. Like even all of that, which is not meant to flow off the tongue, but all of that as posted on the PDGA site is still, that has to be a full tweet short in terms of characters.
No, tweets are 280 characters now.
Exactly.
That's what we could have stamped it with.
Yes, that would have been a good
Tweets
one.
went to 280 characters.
But no, that name, because we're seeing more and more presented by, supported by, driven by, and maybe sometimes there's a co-sponsorship. So, kind of along those lines where presented by, Innovadis and Sport Sacks. Great. But it's a lengthy name along with the sponsor. And then what does it say in additional support from then the city, Rocky Mount?
With support from Rocky Mount.
Yeah,
they're getting there. I mean, hey, it's working. We're talking about it. There's 100 people listening. I wish I could say hundreds of people listening right now, but they're maybe eventually. Hey, city of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, they're getting it. Google them, check them out.
They got a couple of great courses.
Spike Hyzer's Bonanza.
And Christy M's on the board out of Ohio saying, Tim and Donna's wedding anniversary extravaganza 3 presented by Innova. That would give it sounds like it would be a good run for its money if that's the official title for that event. I think that just took place recently as well.
That's a pretty darn good one. But yeah, if anyone has any other longer ones, please share them on the board or post them on the SmashBoxx page. So 86 total players at Spike Hyzer's Barkbuster Bonanza 6, presented by Innova with support from Rocky Mount. In the open division, only a handful, 5 players, but one of them being Barry Schultz. He almost won by 20 throws. He capped off. He started the weekend out going 1060 and then finished it off 1060. 1039, 1029 in between there. Not too bad. I don't think anyone really would have had a chance. Although there is, as we all know, stellar competition in North Carolina. A lot of really great players. But when you're popping off half your rounds at 1060, that's generally going to get you a win, with your other ones being tremendous as well. But finishing in second place, Nathan Queen. On the women's side, Elaine King racked up yet another victory. She played some really solid golf. Had a couple rounds above her 931 rating. So shout out to Elaine. That's probably like her 300th career win, maybe even more
this year.
Do you guys know that number? Yeah, she's at 239 with an asterisk. So she's probably way more than 300. Pretty special. But one more event I had earmarked to talk about, the 4X shootout at Graham Creek. Say that 4 times fast. Pretty easy. But winning, I think his 4th or 5th event in a row, Cameron Colglazer. He won by 5 throws over Matty O, Matt Oram, everybody's favorite prodigy guy, Michael Gibney. Had himself a really stellar tournament, finished in 3rd place. Unfortunately, Brandy Myers was the only open female player to play. She did win her division. So congratulations to all the winners there. There were a smattering of other events throughout the country this last weekend, but nothing else really jumped out at me. Did you guys see any big names out there playing maybe a B or C tier somewhere? Johnny, I know you're one that looks at results. Terry, you probably have no idea.
I'll check results on occasion, but I honestly didn't see any really big names this weekend playing anything. I looked. SoCal has an AM event, so there was not much going on there. Because normally, if you're going to find something this time of year, like you said, it's California. We had a local event, but ultimately,
what took place at the Directors Cup? That would be a good question. It's just up a little. It's right by Paige's hand on your screen. Right there. There you go. So the Directors Cup, which I know has been, I think, at a couple different places, including Crown Point a year or two ago. It's a little bit of, well, it's all work and play kind of mixed together. The PDGA host a symposium is what I was trying to spit out. Hence hoses.
Freudian slip.
Yeah. Would you say it's like not quite a convention or a
TD meeting?
Yeah, it's like a symposium of sorts. And it's where TDs get together. They can talk about best practices. I'm not sure exactly of everything that takes place there. I've always wanted to go, but haven't made it there. And I know it's been in Crown Point a few times, or at least once, and I know it's been down at the IDGC. And some of the time, of course, is reserved for what they're doing in terms of the talks and the classes and we'll say like clinics and whatnot. And then also time to go out and play some golf. And how many rounds were ultimately played?
It looks like they had 2 rounds.
Okay.
And there were 56 players there.
Okay.
Different divisions: gold, blue, white, red, green, purple.
Which is a really awesome idea, and I believe a perfect way to integrate, because it's a very vast array of skill levels that are out there, and that people are coming for. The primary purpose is to learn and to be in these classes and to learn these best practices. But then, of course, again, golf's just kind of mixed into it. So you have all these different age levels, skill levels, everything else. And rather than embrace, well, I'll say the typical divisional brackets, they go completely on a ratings-based situation, hence the gold, blue, white, so on and so forth. I just think it's a great way to actually implement one of the unique ways that we could be going about hosting events. We talk so much about this division or that division and the new debates over the MP55 versus the MP65. But to go just straight ratings based, regardless of gender, I think is gender and age, I think is a great way to go. I wish more events would do that. I know Chuck Kennedy really worked hard to try and get ratings based events to take off. That was back in like 2006, 2007-ish time frame. And I don't feel like, and prior to that, I just don't feel like they ever really caught on. But they're a great way to mix people up. Do you think that's crazy, Dana?
Crazy to go into that kind of format. I think that's an interesting way to go about it, and I have nothing against it. But yeah, I don't know. Why don't you run your next one after cold turkey like that? See how it works.
I would, except I think one of the big challenges, and it's got to start somewhere, is just people get so completely baffled and confused by the whole concept. They're like, what? I'm 49 and I'm rated 901 and I'd be playing with somebody else that's rated 901, but they're 14? Like, yeah, that's how that works. Your 901 is the same 901 that they have, 901 if we're being technical. And just, I think that would just blow some people's minds. And I'll say, I think of our good pal, Tom McManus, 1276. We know you're out there, Tom. Someone like Tom enjoys the divisional breakdowns by age sometimes, because sometimes people just really do want to also, as a social activity, want to hang out with people of their age group. It can be a little bit harder. You work all week, and then on the weekend, you may not want to go play with a 17-year-old or a 24-year-old. Not that there's anything wrong with one age or another, but sometimes, a bunch of 55-year-old guys hanging out may have a little bit more enjoyable time interacting with one another than the 22-year-old that is more likely to maybe just be coming off that hangover because they didn't get in till 4 a.m. the night before. But I guess we're all it's quite a melting pot of who shows up at tournaments on any given weekend. What did we see? Was there any results? I saw Josh Childs. I don't know if he just swooped in for a win or what he did that weekend.
I would hope that you have to participate as the seed.
You have to sit through at least 2 of Chuck Kennedy's classes in order to be eligible to play in the event.
Yeah, so Josh Childs did win at a 14-under, followed by Brian Gort at 8-under in the gold division. And in something you don't see very often, Mike Downs DNF'd, but he played the second round and not the first.
He was probably helping out doing something.
I'm sure he was. It's just a funny thing. You don't usually see a DNF followed by a 999 followed by an actual round score. Normally it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I saw it and I kind of chuckled. Brian Roberts wins blue. Keith Miskell wins white. Swami, he was red. He put out a video recently. Thomas Lynch green. Justin Swanson purple. So,
and another thing you don't see, I'll follow that up real quickly. When's the last time you saw someone win a tournament in the open division, taking first place?
No open division.
Or sorry, in this gold in this case, and his payout $15.
$15.
So that tells you just how fierce they were making. Not that the competition may not have been fierce, but clearly the emphasis of this event and of this weekend was of more of an
It looks like it was a $5 to play.
Yeah.
And they paid the top 3, what they did. Just because
Exactly.
I figured the blue was 3 people, $15 worth. I'm sure everyone pitched in $5. And
Yep. Dana, is it fair to say that Josh Childs winning this division, clearly the definition of Disc Golf Rich, $15 first place?
Totally. He's killing it. He probably went and got a big dinner at Zaxby's or something.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dana.
But,
what else? Did you see anything else out on the tour?
Nah, not too much. Looking at next weekend. Got the SoCal Series Championships. I think that's at La Mirada. Seppo Payu in town. Bobby Music's playing that. Hey, Yuli's out there. Max Nichols, Jesse Bickley to round out the 1,000 rated players. No Paul Macbeth. Sometimes we see him kind of sneak in there last minute and play it, which we still may. I don't know. Did you guys talk last week about Player of the Year implications between Ricky and Paul? Did Ricky settle it with the victory?
we didn't talk about it, but I did hear that with Ricky's win last week and Paul taking third at the event he played, that Ricky was fairly certain he sealed up Player of the Year with that win. So now, is there going to be?
What were you guys talking about last week? Come on.
We had Feldberg on, so we were talking about next gen stuff and
next
Feldberg
gen,
stuff.
bro.
Next gen. He came on right away, so we kind of got right into our interview. We didn't have a lot of chance to talk about stuff. But is there going to be like this mini fight for the end of the year, playing like these little events, or little as in B tiers? You know, whether it's the Legacy presents the VPO versus the SoCal series versus maybe something over on the, because it seems like Paul's pretty well set on the East Coast right now with Hannah. So,
well, I'll say this. Here's another quick plug. I'm going to I believe, the last A tier of the year, being the South Florida Open. I'm excited to go out there and cover it. Talked with Kobe Geist, talked with the TD Pat, and that's December. I think I travel the 14th through the 17th, so 15th, 16th, and 17th. I think that's the last A tier on the schedule. Now, are we going to be at a point where one of the two of them is going to care about it or possibly travel to it? Or wouldn't it be funny to see them both show up? Do they both care about it enough to make an extra trip? Who knows?
I don't know what their bonus is, if it matters to them, or
they care about it.
I think the care is it's a little notch in their bedpost. It's one of those things like I am the 3-time player of the year, 4-time or 5-time, or whatever they're going to end up at in the next 10 years. I think they kind of care.
They do. They care. I mean, I think that I don't know if we would have saw them both playing last weekend if they didn't care, if they didn't really care about it. But you know, with Ricky getting the win, Paul getting third, I'm gonna have to do some more research on the math. But I think that kind of did it for him. But maybe Paul wins a B tier, wins an A tier. That makes it a little bit closer. But as Johnny said, it's definitely they both want to win it. It's a notch on the belt, and I would definitely assume there's bonuses related to that. So, but looks like Ricky is in Las Vegas right now. Yeah, not sure what he's doing. Gambling, hanging out, partying. Probably not, but probably gambling. Looked like he went for a run on the strip earlier, per his social media. So he's in some off-season training mode, and maybe having a little recreational time as well. Maybe working his way to his winter home in Arizona.
That's funny. I don't see Ricky as a runner. I mean, not that anyone can't be a runner,
because he only does it with Raptor legs.
Yeah, that's
the whole mile, all like, 5 miles.
Like you can look at some people and I think like, oh, that guy looks like a runner. This guy's got a runner's form.
Me,
yeah, of course. Ricky, I don't picture him as like a runner. Like I'm gonna go out and get a quick mile or two in. It just for some reason in my head, I have a hard time. There's a block. There's a wall there between Ricky and running, unless he's doing Raptor legs. So yeah. I don't know. I see him as other fitness type activities, basketball. Maybe, you know,
polo,
water polo. I don't know. You know, just getting on the course stuff, lifting weights. I could see that just for some reason running.
How great would that be if you're interviewing Ricky at Memorial? Hey, what'd you do? Water polo league, man. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Oh, man.
If it's a way for him to be competitive and win some money, he might be all over it.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
actually that would, I mean, swimming gets you in incredibly good shape.
And water polo is one of the toughest sports that you can play because you can't touch the bottom. You have to sit and tread water for, you know, minutes upon 10s and 15 minutes at a time. And that is not as easy as it sounds when you're trying to go back and forth and not drown, you know. And who
do you think would be better at water polo, Ricky or Paul?
Oh, wow.
Oh, geez.
I'm going to say Ricky, just the long arms,
yeah.
Right? Getting up out of the water. And
at water polo, I would have to go with Ricky because he's got the wingspan. I think that he'd have a natural advantage there. I don't think either of them are going to be natural water polo players, but just body type, Ricky has an advantage over Paul there.
Okay. Are we going to see an all-to-world article about this tomorrow?
I hope so.
That'd be awesome.
I would think that'd be awesome if that's what settled player of the year is a water polo match between the two.
Give them a little beanie for their head and throw them in a pool. You can tell it's the off season when we're asking about who's going to win in water polo.
Dana, I know you've been really busy.
Hey,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was that?
I was just saying, Spike Hyzer to run more events, so we don't have to talk water polo scenarios between Ricky and Paul.
So I do know that you've been really busy. You're working on course projects. You're getting ready for the new addition to the family. All of that stuff. Did you get a chance to take in any of the videos recently released? Quick shameless plug for me and my videos. Did you see the women's PLO action today by any chance?
Not yet, but it is on my list of things to do. I want to check it out. Maybe after I get done with you guys, if it's not too late, I'll fall asleep on the couch watching that.
Yeah.
Not to say that puts me to sleep, but I usually go to bed early, so.
No, it's great. One of the talks, I think we're going to have Sara on probably in the next 15 minutes or so, but one of the major conversation pieces that has to unfold, this is the first time I think that we're seeing both Vanessa van der Venten along with Kona Panis. I mean, we're see every single weekend we see Kat and we see Sara, two amazing players, two world champions, obviously all of that stuff. They need no qualifiers. But to see two new faces on camera during this lead card, to watch them both play it out, And I'll spoil a little for you. Vanessa's putting is insane during this round. And almost, if you go out and check all the YouTube comments right now, I'd say at least 3 out of every 4 or 4 out of every 5 comments are about her putting and the show that she put on throughout the round. So it was awesome to see, meeting fresh new faces and people we don't see too often. I caught up with her a little bit before the show tonight, and she's the only non-sponsored player on that card. She said she would be interested in sponsorship. She wants to get on the tour. She wants to play some more. Phoenix Ruger Redberg, one of our favorite Smashies, was in fact her caddy for the weekend. She has a bag of like 6 discs and keeping it simple, and played some pretty damn good golf.
Hold on, what's this girl's name?
Vanessa Vander Venten? Vinter?
She's Arizona?
No, she's out of Vegas. Her PDGA number is like 32,000 and some, 32 and change. So she said she won her PDGA membership at an event. They asked her if she'd like the merch or cash or whatever it was, or a membership, and she took the membership a long time ago. And I know that she's had a few struggles with getting out to play and some other stuff, and she wants to get out and play more. So I got to tell you, you're going to see more and hear more from her on the tour. So there's a little insider pro tip that you're going to see a lot more of Vanessa, and you're going to see her, I think, playing very well moving forward. You heard it here, Van de Venter. So thank you.
You think she's the best female player that's not sponsored right now?
So hard to say. I think that we have.
Terry tuned in. He is,
but even
FPO king.
But even Terry didn't really know Vanessa. I think there's probably a few women out there that play the occasional tournament,
fly under the radar.
That fly under the radar. I mean, and I'm going to say it makes sense for her right now because she has the spotlight on her. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were 2 or 3 or 4 other women, maybe somewhere down in the Southeast, maybe somewhere over in Arizona area, and in Cali. I bet you there's some women that come out and they'll shoot a 920 rated round or 930 rated round and not even think anything about it, and they probably play 1 or 2 events a year. So, but she's the only one that we know of. Someone saying Kelsey Bracken from Ohio. And Elaine isn't sponsored at the moment.
Yeah,
so.
I mean,
I don't count Elaine because she has been. She's had that sponsorship for the longest time, and she is of her own volition not sponsored currently. So
yeah,
but yeah,
it'll be interesting. And Christy on the board says Brackle, and I think there was a whole Brackle.
That's what I said Bracken, and I'm thinking Ohio and Brackle makes more sense. But
yeah, there's a whole Brackle clan of them that used to, I think, more actively golf. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But it was great talking to her. I think we're going to see and hear from her a little bit more moving forward. But I was glad to get a few more details. We had a relatively brief interaction on that lead card during that round, and just thoroughly impressed. She has a very contagious laugh and demeanor to her, and put on quite a show out there. So giving everyone the heads up that she means business, and like she said, she wants to get out and play. She wants to find a way to get on tour and be out there competing more regularly. So if so, you can say you heard it here on Smashbox, or you saw it on the Disc Golf Guys vlog. So that's all out. I want to thank Trent for helping out. There is a real quick 3-minute montage of the opening round that had a lot of different random shots from around the course. And then second round, both rounds were 19 holes. Second round, shot-by-shot coverage is out. 10 holes, then 9 holes, and then I do commentary with it, and I think they're both a great watch. There's some really good golf, and for some people, seeing Vista in a slightly different configuration is also a little bit unique, and you see what Vista kind of looks like a little bit more like on a regular day if you went out there. We're so used to seeing the stretched out Vista XL layout. This provides a little bit more of the day-to-day look that you see out at Vista. Dana, have you ever played Vista in a non-memorial layout, for instance?
Nope. I've seen some of the baskets still there prior to the memorial layout. They still leave a few of them out, and you see some of the holes. But I have not played the everyday layout. Probably never will.
Yeah, there's
Unless I find myself out there for some reason or another, not during the Memorial.
well, there's quite a few birdies out there, and it's a really fun course to play. Dana, dare we ask, do you have any predictions? Have you been scoping out the new talent of who might take home a car at the next gen finale this weekend?
Boy, that's actually going to be really exciting to watch. Normally, wouldn't be too interested to tune into just an AMA tier or whatever it might be, but I'm pulling for Matt Travis,
Okay.
Illinois,
Yep.
Indiana guy. I think it might. I don't know if he has the arm to make Fountain look like some of the top pros do, which I'm assuming some of these amateur players do have, but that's when you can get in trouble. So maybe not, attack it. Maybe if he stays within himself and doesn't try to reach all the dangerous greens, he can hit a really strong number. But looks like the highest rated player, Christopher Kesloff from California. He's 989 rated, along with Zach Long from Connecticut. So we've got Connecticut and California, the two highest rated players there. It's actually going to be pretty exciting to watch.
East Coast, West Coast rivalry,
yeah.
just like Biggie and Tupac back in the day.
That's right.
Gang things.
That's right, Johnny.
If someone doesn't end up in
there you go,
stitches,
Terry.
I don't want to hear it.
It should be ultimately it should be a really good battle. There's
It's gonna be a lot of
ton
fun.
of golf to play. 4 rounds, or 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. And then a cut on the Sunday morning, a cut to Sunday afternoon, and then a final cut for the final 9 holes, which is 5 people. Winner taking home a car. That's pretty serious business. And then some of the other guys making the finals invited back to the Memorial to compete on the Pro Tour. Essentially an all expense paid trip. Like, that's pretty. I know you'd love to win an all expense paid trip back to the Memorial.
I'd love an all expense paid trip to Milwaukee, to Indianapolis. Send me somewhere for free. Come on.
Just not in the next 2 weeks.
So is it fair to say that I'm not going to see you at the Cold Turkey event I'm hosting in 8 or 12 days or so?
You're definitely not going to see me there. I played it in years, a few times over the years. This is not going to be one of the years. I just got my disc back from the Pro Tour finals. Miles dropped him off a couple days ago when he was driving through town. I gave him my discs in my cart to mule home for me, so I didn't have to worry about traveling with it all. Not that I couldn't have, but so I didn't even have my discs up until a couple days ago, and I've only played a few times since the Pro Tour finals, and just not in playing shape, nor do I really feel like playing right now. It's kind of fun just getting out once every couple of weeks and doing a little recreational style and kind of sitting back. That last round really cut me deep. So
I don't even remember that.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. So it's already been
just remember
erased from my memory.
Deep pockets, big paycheck.
Yeah.
I got. That's all I remember.
That's right. Or you could go like 75,000 other people have done and watch on Jomez.
Oh God. All right, Dana.
On that note,
I'm gonna let you know. I don't know if you're gonna hang out for the show for a while. We're gonna chat with Sara pretty soon here. But then after Sara, if you don't hang out and watch, make sure to listen to the podcast because we got some big fun news coming up.
yeah. Big fun news.
I will. If I don't stay up for Sara, I'll definitely catch up when I find some time. I'm interested to hear what she's got to say. I know she's just getting back out west. I do want to give a shout out to Dan. Ran into him out at Delwood today. It was his 50th birthday. He was playing with a couple of buddies, playing a birthday round. And that means I played disc golf today. But it was a pretty nice day, almost 50 degrees. But shout out to Dan. He's a smashy. Happy birthday. And yeah, nice to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. Smashies, good to see you. Maybe we can do it again sometime soon.
I hope so. And as the next gen
Tuesday.
tour puts on our chat board, don't forget to make your bracket. If you haven't done it yet, get out there, put your bracket together before this weekend so you have a chance to win.
Tons and tons of ridiculous prizes.
I just left it blank because there's so much crap. I didn't really want to get into how much there is.
Yeah,
so
there is a ton of stuff.
Go out and make your bracket for the next gen tour. Dana, thanks for joining us again tonight. We will we'll hopefully see you next week. If not, maybe the week after. I don't know. Best wishes to you and Ashley. And
Live
Edith.
from the hospital room.
That's right. If you need Smashbox, we're always looking to venture into other avenues. If you need us
live
broadcast of a live birth, just let us know, Dana. We're here for you.
Who else would you want in that delivery room than us two?
Man.
Okay.
It could be our long. It wouldn't even probably be our longest broadcast.
No.
Oh, I hope not. Jesus. Oh.
Well, we wish you the best. You may be a father of another by next week, even. So we wish you and Ashley and Edith the best, and looking forward to catching up with you a little bit later, buddy.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, have a great night.
Dana.
All right, Dana Vicich, trying to be a daddy again.
Well, he's already done the trying.
Yeah, I guess now there's other stuff that just needs to happen and stuff. So in a few short minutes, we're gonna have Sara Hokom join us. Also, I know I kind of referenced a little bit earlier that Dave Feldberg and the crew. I know they're set up. They're in Arizona. They're in Fountain Hills. I think they're getting course stuff ready, getting everything prepped and ready to go for this weekend. There was also a press release. I don't want to say of sorts. There was, in fact, a press release that was sent out today, and I want to just read a few of the details here. I know we've talked about a lot of these things, so I'm not going to read every single detail. But one of the things we talked about last week was just the ridiculous payout for as the places dwindled down. It does say 72 competitors representing 28 states and one from Canada. It's obviously been all whittled down to where we are in the final event. The Kia Soul's not the only prize. More than $82,000 worth of prize packages and prizes being handed out, or players packs and prizes. And again, the 4 rounds, the semis, the quarterfinals, all of the finals. Sunday morning's quarterfinal round, which is cut to 16, each winning the prize package valued at a minimum of $635. The 9-hole loop is scheduled to start at 1 p.m. Mountain, and then down to the top 5 after that. The top 5 who do not get handed the set of keys to the Kia receive prize packages worth $2,900, including a coveted Disc Golf Pro Tour card and a return trip to Arizona to compete as a professional.
All 5 get a $2,900
return. It says that those in the top 5 who do not get handed a set of keys.
The guy who gets the car, he gets the car. Everybody,
presumably,
the other 4.
The other 4 come back for the Pro Tour opener next year.
It's like a $2,900 value
per person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's like $13,000
just for the top 5.
Holy,
plus the players packs they've gotten. It's insane. Trust me. It's that's why they say $82,000 is being given away. And then, as you mentioned, the bracketology. It's our version of March Madness. Pick your favorites with over 2,000 in prizes, and the entry is completely free. Of course, that can all be found on the Next Generation website, which I was just on a minute ago. As soon as you were saying it, made me think, oh, I got to get out there. And
the press release is on their website in the news section. So if you want to go out, that's nextgendiscgolf.com.
Yes, and then or .com/bracketology will bring you, specifically to the bracket picks and all the other information, including bags, discs, players packs, Keen shoe cards, Zuka cards, backpack, all that kind of stuff. So pretty intense. And I think he spoke of Michael Downs a few moments ago. The Dana did. Michael, who is, I think, an Arizona native. I know he lived out there for a while. I don't know if that's where he grew up. But Michael Downs from the PDGA will be there as the on-site PDGA marshal of sorts, representative. I think he's going to be helping out throughout the weekend, and then also doing helping with some live scoring. And I think he's going to step in and then also help me do some co-commentating.
Oh, that's great.
So obviously a very knowledgeable guy. Not only knows the course and disc golf, but knows Arizona, and super excited to have
Michael's
him.
phenomenal.
All-around great guy, who's, of course, a staff member over at the PDGA. So looking forward to having Michael Downs as part of the broadcast.
Is Sarah getting ready? Is she?
That's a good question. I could probably reach out to her. Maybe?
Yeah, please
Should I do that?
Please do.
You stall. I'll reach out.
Well, we can talk. There's a few things we can probably talk about. We could talk about the Disc Golf World Tour, which dropped last Wednesday.
Yeah. What? Come on, World Tour. Get your act together and stop being the World Tour on Tuesday so that we can talk about it on Tuesday night show.
Yeah, it's not the Disc Golf World Tuesday. It's the Disc Golf Wednesday Tour, apparently.
Jeez.
So, yes, for those of you that have not heard, if you've been living under a rock, the Disc Golf World Tour.
Or a Rock 3.
Rock 3. There you
or
go.
V-Rock.
The Disc Golf World Tour has decided to take the year off.
So suspended
their services for the 2018 season. Now, what that really means is it's more or less media. They're not going to have the metrics. They're not going to probably have the Jomez stuff directly through the World Tour. My guess is that you're still going to see Jomez do spin stuff, all that other good stuff. But the World Tour had UC's backing. They decided that they were going to take a year off. UC, if you want to listen to a really good interview with UC, there's another podcast, something like Alta World
Tour? Did they start a new podcast?
They started the Alta World Tour. Alta World.
Alta World.
Alta World with Steve Hill and Charlie Eisenberg? Charlie and Steve interviewed UC, and UC went through the reasons. He basically said that the World Tour wasn't accomplishing their goals, which was to bring in outside sponsors.
Yep.
And they want to take a year, maybe two. UC did not definitively say 1 year. He even said if they don't hit their goals for what they want, they will go a second year off because they truly want to bring in outside sponsorship.
Okay.
So they are going to spend the events that are still happening. USDGC was going to happen regardless of that. The Konapish Day, which is the European Open this year? I forget the exact name of it. It's still a major. It's still happening. And the Talon. I think Talon was Talon was the other event. It's still going to happen. So imagine the Disc Golf World Tour was just kind of the frosting on the cake of these particular. I'm getting very hungry here. On these particular events, the events will still happen. It's just that you won't have the traditional UC flavor. You probably won't have Jomez fly overseas for the ones over there. You may not. It all depends on what type of backing they have. But I don't foresee there being. Now, the big question is, and what a lot of people have said, if you're looking for outside sponsors, is it a good idea to suspend your tour? Does that show outside sponsors that you have your stuff together, that you can maintain a schedule? UC is a very smart guy. He's going to have something up his sleeve. Or I heard that Discmania is going to start producing their own discs as well soon. That's an announcement that I think it's out there, but so we should be seeing that anytime. And I think we'll see the World Tour again. I just don't know how.
I think it's interesting the amount of conversation. Well, obviously it generated a massive buzz. I mean, the World Tour, it was just a few weeks ago that UC had posted and said the World Tour and the Pro Tour have now existed. I think it was rude that he left out the American Tour, but anyway, the World Tour and the Pro Tour have been around for 2 years. There was a huge conversation about live production, post-production, all of that conversation. And now here we are, move forward a week or two. And he says that, I mean, he's the one that had stated in the in the original press release, he didn't feel like they were meeting their goals of these outside sponsorships. A lot of people read into this and interpret this in so many different ways.
One of my big pet peeves with this is what I consider people, I hate to say the word, dancing on the grave of the World Tour.
Yeah.
Because UC had a goal that he, flat out, he says he didn't accomplish the goal that he wanted in 2 years. But having another tour, I think, doesn't hurt. And I don't like to see people, like, it's not a Pro Tour versus World Tour thing. They didn't really compete.
No.
Because the Pro Tour was it was a players tour. The World Tour was an attempt to bring in outside eyeballs and sponsorship. So they were not the same goal. I mean, as we've all said, the World Tour wasn't even really a tour. It was just the name of it. You know, it was 3 individual big events that UC put a lot of money behind and did a lot of promotion and worked with a lot of stuff. So I get this. I've had my issues with UC. We've had our issues with UC as far as live coverage versus thing. But I've always had nothing but respect for the guy because he has an idea, he has a plan, and he follows through. One of the things that people are now starting to say is, does that mean we're getting live USDGC coverage? I don't know. I mean, we've said it for 2 years now. Innova knows where we are. If they're looking for live, come here. From what I heard in the interview, UC is still going to be managing some of the media for the USDGC. They've talked about possibly a different live company coming in. And he kind of dropped that at the end of the interview on Alta World. And what I say to that is, awesome.
Yeah.
You and I had a conversation where there's nothing about that is bad for us.
No.
Because A, we can see either where our deficiencies are. The only way that they hurt us, that really looks bad for us, is if they can come in at a way lower price point and look way better, which I don't think is humanly possible for our price point.
And I was and you clarified that perfectly, at our price point.
Correct.
Clearly.
Yeah. Oh, if they decide to put in 3, 4, 5 times the money that we are, they're going to get a better looking or more robust product, hands down.
Yeah.
But
at the price point in which we operate in,
I've heard numbers from other people that have looked into it, anywhere from 30, 40, 50, 80 grand to do some of the things that they want. And that's not a sustainable model for disc golf yet.
No.
But at least in my eyes, but if there's an event that wants to drop that kind of cash like USDGC and say, we want the best looking and best live stream, I welcome that. I welcome the competition. I welcome the to look at it and go, oh wow, yeah, they did that way better than us. This is some place that I never thought of that we could improve.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, awesome. But ultimately, I think the World Tour, I think we'll see more of the World Tour. I think there's something there. I just don't see it yet. And clearly UC didn't either.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, as you said, they committed to at least taking the break in 2018. That could extend. This, as some would say, could be the writing on the wall. You may not see it return. If UC and his crew and his team hunt around long enough and they just don't come to a model that meets their goals and objectives, it doesn't make sense to keep hammering away on it. If that's what you're recognizing at an early stage, then it is what it is. And that's not saying, clearly that's not what we're anticipating, but that is part of the reality. I mean, we all know that you have to throw different ideas and you have to have various successes and failures in every scope, in every possible facet of business. And sometimes you try things and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Or you know, as the way I looked at it, clearly the World Tour does a tremendous amount of amazing things, but if they're not hitting one of UC's goals and objectives, then some of that may be irrelevant, or the entire thing might be. If it doesn't, if it doesn't serve what he wants it to serve, then there's no one that can really argue with him because he's the one steering the ship. So,
and for those of you just on an off note, I'm starting to see some things come in from the Movember.
What? Good.
From DG Mike. So if you're still interested in one of the Silipints, make any donation at any amount. Just go out there, show the support. If you can put a little, I don't know if you can, I didn't get a chance because I've been online. I'll do it after. If you put a little comment on there saying that you saw it in SmashBox.
Or just SB. Just put a little SB on the bottom of your comment. Finish it.
I think that'd be kind of fun. But yeah, so we're starting to see these things come in. If you want an option to win it, go out there and make a donation of some sort.
And that will make you eligible to be to be able to pick one of our silly pints that will be given away here tonight. And that's just, I had no idea I was going to do that. I knew I brought 3 silly pints. We're going to give one away to a Patreon supporter later. And this way, I figured it'd be another great one to incentivize you to go out and donate to Mike.
There's been a lot of talk about the World Tour maybe converting, so to speak, to a European tour. Have the Pro Tour really be focused on the U.S., or we'll say North America, even though there's nothing in Canada. Really be focused on the U.S. Maybe UC needs to take a step back and look at the European tour, try to grow that to be what the Pro Tour is over there, so that the players can maybe take a month or two off, go overseas, make a run at a couple of those events, and then come back and finish up the tour here. I think that makes sense. UC was spending a lot of money bringing people back and forth from Finland and Europe to wherever the events were. So that's an option. I've seen that put out there numerous times. I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm sure UC's thought about it. I don't know if that's UC's, if that's his big thing. If he really cares about I'll say, quote unquote, a small time tour, when his vision is much, much bigger than the Pro Tour or the European Tour. His vision, I think, is literally worldwide. And he's looking for that. He's looking for a big outside of disc golf sponsor.
All right. Well, so interesting news. Unfortunately, a day late for us. So that here you are getting it 6 days later. But that's the World Tour. You can go out and check it out, discgolfworldtour.com. Lots of conversation, lots of pieces. Follow UC on any of his social media, and we'll see where it leads. And of course, we'll keep you posted as we find out as well. But for now, I think we've got Sara Hokom ready to go.
I have her log in. Is
that the login that you've got for her?
I will find out.
We'll double check, and if so, yep, that looks to be it. It says that she's logged in, but go
she
ahead.
is. She just needs to be. She's away right now. I'll dial her up, see if she answers. It might just be she's not active on Skype. It's maybe in a different corner of the screen.
I miss the whole world, and now this is 25 years removed, but I miss the world of pranking people. You can't do that with the caller ID and all that other stuff these days. Just calling up somebody and.
So you're looking for a new version of the Jerky Boys?
Yeah, just a prank. I don't know. It was something that we could do as kids. It's now lost.
I never really pranked people.
I did. I'm not gonna lie. Just calling up people.
I believe that.
Just the absolute most juvenile, either saying stupid stuff or just, yeah. All right, Sara, I think we're going to be able to welcome you to the show. It looks like you're just about ready to go.
Sara, can you mute your YouTube if you're watching it right now? So we can...
You just mute if there's a viewer that you have it on.
Perfect.
Other than your Skype.
Sure. Open up. We're talking with Sara on the other hand. Open up Skype on your laptop and then answer the call when I put it there. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. We'll try in just a few moments.
All right, we're gonna get back with Sara. She answered on her cell. I probably forwarded to there from her thing. So we're gonna give her just a few seconds to load up her laptop, and then she'll be set.
So we'll talk with her. I know we saw Sara visiting the Legacy Factory, like a kid in a candy store, as they say. I know I saw her post an Instagram photo of that just the other day, and I think I saw her. She might have made it all the way up to like Oregon area. Well, we'll ask rather than me just cyber stalker.
We'll just wait just a few more minutes until we see Sara.
All right, Jeremy McBride's on the board saying, longtime listener of the podcast, first-time watcher of the live broadcast. Love your work. Keep doing what you do. Thank you very much, Jeremy. We appreciate you being here on Tuesday nights. I tell you, there's a benefit to being here on Tuesday nights. You can You're going to get the info quicker than anybody else. You get to see the silly faces I make at Johnny. If you are a
True
Patreon
story.
supporter, you'll know right away if you've been selected to win something for free. So there's a lot of good stuff. Plus, you get to interact in the after show. That's where we get a little looser and we take all comments that come in from the board and interact a little bit more.
Sarah, that
directly.
doesn't look like you answered on your laptop. Are you logged into Skype on your laptop?
Terry, myself, a couple times.
Yeah, I don't know. Will this work?
Weird, I've never had this problem before.
Will this work for you if we go this route? Because I just say everything looks really good,
Yeah,
and the signal
You
and
look
the
beautiful.
picture looks great.
Okay.
I think we're all right.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. Do you need to prop the phone up or anything?
I know, right? Let's see.
I don't want your arm to get sore.
Yep, you can turn it
Okay,
sideways, and
then it'll adjust.
Yep, if you turn it sideways, usually it'll automatically adjust the wide way. Or not. Okay, or not.
I don't think that's working.
It's not.
All right.
That's funny. Okay, well, we could just do like this, and we'll roll with our interview as is.
Okay.
Welcome. How you doing?
Yeah, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to be back.
I'm
Situating.
No, you're
all right.
good. Yeah. Last week we kind of briefly touched on the PLO, but then I got all the video out today, as you may or may not have seen. We just also had a quick conversation about Vanessa and the star that she was, and
her putting being phenomenal,
and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But you took down the title, and it was at an event you weren't certain about even attending.
That's true. I was not sure I was gonna hit that one. Actually, you're the one that clued me into going to it. So I'm glad you said something.
I'm glad. I just, again, when we're looking at these women only events, I think part of the draw, besides having roughly 90 women in attendance, just like I saw you signing an autograph. I mean, there's so many of these women that don't necessarily get to see you and Kat and Paige and all of our superstars. They don't see them week in and week out. So when you guys come to an event, it's their opportunity to be a little starstruck, get autographs, and maybe even some tips.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best things at those events is that I'm able to really connect with the women on like a more personal level. And like you said, it's maybe the first event they've ever attended that was like kind of on a bigger scale, or even the fact that was a B tier. It's kind of a smaller event, even though it's been running for a dozen years. That's like the best part of the weekend for me is meeting all those women.
Yeah, I know. Right before you and I had to do a little promo piece, you were signing some autographs, and what is that like being such a resource for people? I mean, autographs are one thing from a fan base, but knowing that you're a resource for forehands, for putting, just for being on the road and on the tour, how do you how do you deal with all of that?
I've learned to get more open to it. I feel like it's a privilege to be in that position, and I have a lot to share, but a lot of it I've learned through the years, and I'm really happy to just share my knowledge and get to know these women, and I'm just thankful that I have that they even care to like ask for my autograph, or that they even know my name well enough to ask me a question about a technical side of the sport.
What's the thing that you get asked the most about? Something specific that is always asked?
What's my favorite course?
Huh.
Happens all the time. And what's the best sidearm disc?
Okay.
And then just general, can you help me with my sidearm? And that's a big question.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's a better resource in the world than you.
I've been working on my technique a little bit, on teaching it. I've been enjoying. I did a couple clinics the last couple of weeks, one in Texas and one in LA, and I've been really enjoying that. Connected with close to 100 different people, mostly about throwing sidearms and just about the tour, the mental game a little bit. So yeah, it's been fun. I'm going to set up a bunch more next year and throughout the winter.
And if someone, and I know you've been doing clinics and obviously you're on the road constantly, you live on the road. if somebody wanted to have you in their area, whether it's for a club function or pre-tournament or for a tournament, they reach out to you and then kind of negotiate what it would take to get you there to perform a clinic? Is that how it kind of goes down? Or what would you suggest? What would you like people to do?
Yeah, reach out to me on Facebook, or you can send me an email. It's sarah.hokom@gmail.com. Send me an email, contact me, let me know what you're looking for. A lot of times it depends on where I'm at in the country to schedule it. But I do hit most parts of the country at least sometime during the year. So if we can preliminarily set something up. I prefer to do those types of events on like kind of the Monday or the Tuesday of the week, so I can focus on the tournament through the back half. But if there's a couple weeks, several weeks next year, where I'll be taking a week off from competition and hitting an amateur event, and those would be great times in between events to run those types of things. So yeah, just especially this winter, if you're in the Northwest, reach out to me and maybe we can set something up. I'd love to come visit your club or your women's group or whatever.
Okay. And I'm not going to suggest anyone cyber stalks you, but as you just said, if if it looks like your schedule is going to, or the tour schedule is going to likely bring, Sara through your neck of the woods, within a few 100 miles or so, that's when it more likely is going to work out. If the tour is in California and you're out in New York, Sara's probably not going to come out to your course or your event next weekend.
We'll see depends what the money looks like, right?
But for the most part, try and fit it within your tour schedule, as you're saying. Now, you just hit on a great topic about amateur events, and we're clearly seeing massive turnouts. So the GBO AM side sold out in a few minutes. We're talking about literally hundreds and hundreds of people. But I think of the Bowling Green Amateur Championships, the US ADGC, obviously AM Worlds,
Junior Worlds
now. There are so many opportunities to spread your knowledge and to put yourself out there. Is there anything in particular that you feel like you're going to focus on, or is it just going to be a matter of wherever the tour takes you?
I'm going to be focusing on events where we do have a huge AM field. And mostly player branding, co-branding with Legacy, getting the Legacy out there, the Legacy love, extending our family, checking in with stores. That's a lot of my focus for next year. I will have some like Sara Hokom branded stuff, but then I'll also have all the latest stuff from Legacy's Pro Shop.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to stepping into a little bit more of a vendor role that I have last year. But I'm going to keep it separate from my playing so that I can basically do both, but not at the exact same time.
Well, and I know that's a huge challenge as a guy who ran tournaments and then, whether it was vending or playing or whatever. And just like you guys, you have to be so focused on trying to beat the best in the world at playing, and then to go set up a tent and then to go vend and then have all those interactions. And even then, you're pulled away to get asked 100 questions when you're also like, oh yeah, I need $15 for that shirt and I need $20 for that disc. It's just, you really get pulled in a lot of directions and it can be exhausting.
Yeah, it really is. I was working with a company a couple years ago where I would have to set up a big events, and then after maybe I had an enjoyable round, but maybe I had a really rough round, and even that day you have to sit there and put your best face forward and focus on the vending side of things. So I'm trying to do both without actually having that situation be an issue.
Now, women's tournaments, do you go out of your way to try and make sure that you hit any ones in particular, or again, as they fit into the schedule? I mean, they're growing, they're catering more and more to women. We're seeing massive turnouts. The U.S. women set a new record, with their turnout of nearly 100 or a little more than 150 in Tennessee this year. Set a new record over in Phoenix. How do those factor into where you're going and what you're doing?
If I have the option, I definitely try to hit them. I mean, I'm not going to drive halfway across the country for just one event. Depending on the field, though, I might fly out, and back for a big women's event. I mean, Daisy Chains is almost always on my list in Watsonville, California. It's usually the week before Masters Cup, so it fits really well into the tour, and is always a nice break in California during the spring. I also really love to go to Aaron Oakley's Disc Girls Gone Wild. I don't always get to hit that one. It's in Michigan, Lanesburg area. This Phoenix Ladies Open, I would highly encourage any women, especially who live in the Southwest, to consider attending that in the future. They do a really, really good job at making it a female-friendly event, and you can tell that they put their heart and soul into making it really fun. We got one thing that I was amazed about was we had a catered lunch. They had tons of breakfast. They basically feed you the entire day. They had coffee and bagels for breakfast, and then we had sandwiches and like cookies and chips for lunch. And then we had a catered dinner with pasta and salad and cake, and there was even beer provided, and some other alcoholic beverages and non-alcoholic beverages.
What more could you want?
So they really go out of their way. What's that?
I said, what more could you want? Plus a ridiculous payout,
Yeah.
a fun course, gorgeous weather.
Nice trophies, a huge raffle. Everybody had caddies if you wanted one. And I mean, you were there to video it all, so it got great exposure. The course was very women friendly. You know, if you could throw 320, you could birdie every hole. And if you could throw 280, you could get to most of them. You know, so that's when you go out there and you can birdie almost every hole, you feel success. I mean, a lot of the women, even the advanced women, ended up under par. You know, so that's, we were playing golf out there, having a good time. I had a great time with the women I played with. Yeah,
it was awesome. Now, one of the posts we saw from you just a couple days ago was you visiting your sponsor, Legacy, who you've been with for a couple years now.
This was my 4th season with them in 2018.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. 4 years. Massive support from those guys. And you know, as well as anyone, they grind as hard as they can to make Legacy what it is. I mean, getting into disc golf manufacturing, it might be a lot of people's dreams out on the board or listening in, but it is a massive undertaking. You've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand there and other companies. Talk about your support, and you know, you mentioned some discs, but what are we going to see in 2018?
Well, I'm really thankful to be a part of the Legacy family. Stevie and Bamba, they run, it's a homegrown, home-based, family-based operation. Like they are, they are like the people we all look up to in that regular Joe, hardworking, and then made a disc golf manufacturing company on top of it. And they're still doing other concrete. They make great plastics. Their molds, I mean, they have almost every single thing you could need. I mean, outside of maybe an overstable mid, I mean, anything you need, Legacy has it. And there's a lot of consistency within the molds. They've got this brand new plastic coming out as well. They've got this new clear plastic. They're calling it kind of honeybee plastic. And I mean, it feels really good. It's nice and stiff. It's just beautiful. I got to visit there earlier this week, and we kind of talked about 2018 a little bit. They've got a new pro shop that'll be launching here very soon. Also, this new disc, the Aftermath, which I just put in my bag. I actually got it 2 days before the PLO, and then threw it off of four tees the next day in practice, and then 2 days later I threw it in competition.
What type of disc is it?
It's a fast and flippy.
Okay.
But it has low speed stability. So like for me, I can throw it flat. It'll flip over for a little while, but then hook up at the end. It's basically taking a much straighter route than my Outlaws used to take, giving me distance without me having to flex a shot. So it goes just as far, if not, it goes as farther than an Outlaw with less power.
Wow, nice. Perfect.
So I'm really digging it. It's kind of Shrike-ish if we want to compare.
Sure.
The discs. And then and I haven't gotten to throw this one yet, but they also are coming out with the new Recon, which those are coming in. There's 100 mystery boxes. The first 100 mystery boxes that went out on the Legacy Pro Shop are getting a first run Recon in their box. And from what I've been told, it's like an Outlaw but farther.
What?
So it's going to be fast.
How's that possible?
But of similar stability as an Outlaw. So very reliable, but still goes really far. So I'm really excited to try that one out. I'll probably be putting both of those in my bag come the season. But I'll be working with him all winter.
Sweet. I heard it was a speed 24. Was that speed?
Yeah.
I know. I'll say this: if I ever started my own company, I guarantee you, whatever my first driver is that I would come out with would be faster than anything else on the market.
Speed 20.
I would just market
start
it
at
that
20.
way. I'd be like, oh yeah, my speeds start at 20. So that's the first thing I would do
Well,
from
I know
a.
you've got that massive arm speed, so.
Exactly.
Which I did have a nice talk with someone about that. Actually, my trainer, Seth Muncie from Disc Golf Strong.
Yep.
We were discussing about how arm speed is is an incorrect term for the power that you generate through the disc.
Okay.
Because you're actually, I mean, your arm is coming through, but it's all powered by your hips, so it actually should be like hip speed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to Shakira about that.
I guess yeah.
Your arm is just like the lever that holds the disc, and your hips are what
really turns your whole body. It's there's a big discussion somewhere I saw like the other day about someone who asked about his form, and people were not yelling. People were discussing like, no, you're turning your shoulders. You should be turning your hips because that's what turns your body, and that's where you're gonna get more power. And it was a big back and forth versus hips versus shoulders and this thing. But so I understand what you're saying as far as arm speed. It's more lower body speed and torque that way. So I can understand that.
Well, I'm going to go back to that crazy wacko in Paul Oman then. What does he do? Because he's got arms that are like...
slow. And he's got really long arms. That helps out quite a bit. How tall are you, Sarah?
5'10".
5'10". All right. Someone on the board had asked, so...
I'm kind of the baby in my family. Both my parents are 5'10", and my brothers are 6'2", or 6'4", and 6'8".
Oh, God, 6'8". I can't even imagine.
Yeah, Johnny V would have to look up.
I'd have to look up a little bit to him. 6'6".
And for those that don't already know, because I guess we have some newcomers here and there, you obviously have a very athletic background, and namely volleyball. Was that your first main passion?
I mean, just like all the kids, I started with like t-ball, and then Optimus soccer, and then softball, and then but volleyball ended up being my main sport, and I played that in college. But I do think that I get my sidearm from softball.
Okay.
I think it's more like shortstop to first base. I think it's that set up and throw. It kind of made it natural for me to learn first and get more power right away. And batting, I was never a switch hitter. And I think batting really is the same with your hips.
Yeah.
Okay. No, well, I was just going to ask. So I always felt that it was a little bit more natural when I thought about throwing. I'm right-handed, so I catch with my left hand, so I'm right-handed in terms of that way, but I bat left-handed, and that left-handed swing feels so much like a backhand throw. So when I'm thinking about yourself being a forehand thrower, that feels so much more like the right-handed,
like a right-handed
batter. Yeah. So
maybe I can help my backhand by thinking about batting left-handed.
Yeah, exactly. That makes it easy.
That's a new technique.
What a natural tie-in there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So you mentioned Seth, and I know that he's been working with a lot of disc golfers. Kind of explain his role and what he means to your game and how he's kind of helped you out here in recent years.
I've been working with him for about like a year and a half or so. I kind of hooked up with him once my shoulder started hurting about a year and a half ago. And he helped me through some of the exercises and gave me advice about who to see, who to talk to. Now he also gives me exercises for my shoulder and for my knee that are kind of my chronic issues. And then also designs workout programs for hip stability, mobility, strength. He's basically my strength coach.
Okay.
And we work on this little app called Trainerize, and he sends me all these workouts, and he checks in with me and makes sure that I did them and asks me how I'm feeling, and I consult with him on any little minor injuries I'm having, and he finds me like physical therapists in my local area that he trusts to work with me. And so yeah, he kind of acts kind of like my doctor, but he's more of my doctor consult and my trainer.
Okay.
So I really, really enjoy what he's doing.
And what an asset. I mean, seriously, like what an advantage to be able to have somebody within our disc golf community. I know he's worked with the guys over at DD. I even at the bare minimum, when he says to me, "Hey T, have you? I haven't seen you drink any water in the last 3 holes," and he'll hand me a water bottle as I'm out there commentating when we were in Georgia. You know, that kind of stuff. Like, I really appreciate that. You know, he's definitely conscious of what's going on and the things that I think he sees and realizes and recognizes that the everyday, you know, layman just doesn't even think about, and that he's just such an asset to the disc golf community.
Yeah, he really, I mean, he knows his stuff. He's easy to talk to. He understands, you know, like with motivation, it's not just the idea of like sending me a training manual and saying, "Here, do this stuff these days." It's also checking in with me and helping me stay motivated and making sure that I understand the exact points of all of the moves, even right down to little tiny muscle tweaks and making sure I'm breathing in and out at the right time, working on belly breathing, the mental side of the game. He also consults on nutrition, basically a package deal for all things related to keeping my body healthy and my mind healthy.
Yeah, well, and I've noticed in covering you quite a bit this year, you have a very specific routine when it comes to putting. I mean, all of your game is partitioned out in your routine, but when I think about your putting, like it is so predictable. Exactly every move you're going to make, when you're going to make it, your breathing, you're looking, you're focusing, all of those types of things. It's just become something that I'm so familiar with watching that, and you've really committed to it, and it seems like it's paid off quite a bit. And someone just asked on the board, do you see yourself focusing in on any one specific part of putting, or just regular
all around
practice
all around
as usual
golf
for
practice
you,
this
or
summer or this winter?
any major changes, that kind of stuff?
I'm trying to incorporate more of a spin putt from farther out. Right now with my putt as it is, I'm pretty limited outside of 50 feet. You know, I mean, I can throw it from 60, but it's 60 to 65, but it's really more of a layup at that point.
Sure.
So I'm going to be working on getting a little bit more spin out of my hands, like maybe developing a true spin putt from farther. Also with my jump push, I'm definitely trying to decrease my arc a little bit and add a little bit more power to it. A lot of that is my hand strength. I've been working on this putt for 3.5 years, something like that. And it still takes every bit to get those 3 fingers underneath to spin the disc out of my hand. So I'm going to be working on a lot of things. I mean, mostly backhand, but I'm also going to be working on my putting range. And just inside and outside the circle. Well, just outside the circle, I'm pretty comfortable with a jump putt. But just inside the circle, when I can't jump putt, I have trouble like from 28 to 32, 33 right there. I struggle with that range. So just, continuing to dial that in, figure out how to get that putt arc a little bit lower so that I'm not losing so much of my window the further I get away from the basket. A couple of things, but I don't want to, you don't want to change it up too much. I'm pretty confident with what I've got going on, and it really does the job most inside the circle, at least if I'm not on the edge. Inside 25, it does the job pretty well. And those are all the money putts.
Yeah, and I've said to every person that has ever mentioned your putting style, I've said it forever. I said Sara has a unique putting style, but she's never going to have a comeback putt that she misses. It's just you might get the occasional roll away if you hit a basket, but you are not the type. If you watch a Cat or a Paige, they will on occasion miss a putt and blow past by 25, 30 feet. I've never seen that from you, and it's a unique style to go at. You're playing the odds is what you're doing, and it's refreshing to hear that you're working on your putts outside of the circle. But I've got no problem with how you putt inside the circle. I know there's been a lot of discussion online about it, particularly, and I know you've had some issues and questions and feedback about that as well.
Yeah,
I'm always trying to improve my technique to be more consistent, more effective, more reliable. I'm also trying to always make it as easy as possible. I mean, there's all sorts of like, different techniques you can pick up. I mean, an Annie spin putt, is a really cool looking putt, but if you develop your entire putt around that particular style of putt, you're going to miss left, right, low, and high.
Mm-hmm.
And with my putt, I usually only miss high and low. So I'm taking a bunch of variables out of that. And I went through a huge putting failure through 2013 for a few months. And I mean, that's why I developed this putt, because I was 3 putting, 4 putting, 5 putting on occasion. And it's just devastating,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do need to get back to more of a putt that I can putt from farther. I used to be able to putt from 100 feet, with my spin putt back in the day. So, and you say you haven't seen me 3-putt much, but just go back to 2013 and you'll see
that's
too many
that's ancient.
putts.
That's ancient history.
That's ancient history. I mean, Yuli has gone through 27 different putting styles since then.
Since last week.
And so
That's true.
So
we're always trying to get better,
Of course. One of the questions that people had, I guess there was a discussion about Ultra World, about after the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale, that you were upset about something or other, and there wasn't exactly much follow up as to what that was in regards to. Do you have any I guess I'll give you the platform, any clarification on what happened, or is it just the summation of a big fat long tour?
It was definitely the summation of a big fat long tour. Also, unfortunately, I try not to read comments online because most of the time they don't really help me mentally, psychologically. But I read a couple random comments, and a couple of them were not very, very friendly, specifically criticizing me for not throwing very many backhands off, especially off the tee. And I kind of let that get to my head a little bit. I was trying to ignore it, but then it just kept eating away at me. And then through that final round, my mental state was really in the semifinals was to make it to the finals. And then I didn't reset my mental goal. And I was really kind of like a sitting duck out there. I was good until things went bad. And then when things went bad, all the negativity that I had been kind of feeling earlier in the week just rushed in. And I did not finish on a high note. And I learned from that, like that I have to reset my goals, even when I do accomplish one of them. I mean, it was a big deal to make it into the finals. I mean, that course does not allow a lot of score separation, did not favor my game. And, all the girls are playing really good right now. And they were especially at the end of the season. So that was kind of my whole thing. And I needed to reset myself. It was, I mean, people like to criticize me for not throwing very many backhands off the tee. And I understand, people like to poke fun of anything that they can that's different. But I really let it get to me. And I know that I can do a lot of different things with my backhand, and I'm going to keep working on it. And I have to not let people's comments kind of get in my head and come through when I'm vulnerable. Like I was at the end of that, like the last 5 or 6 holes. Yeah. I had just kind of lost. I went OB a couple of times, double bogeyed a hole. I was bogey free up until then. And then I just wasn't mentally prepared well enough for the aftermath of the poor shooting at the end. So yeah, that was a learning experience. Not the way I like to finish, but it is what it is.
It's usually a good rule of thumb in general to stay away from internet comments on almost anything. But
every instance.
But and I'll say it's unfortunate, and we try on Smashbox during the live broadcast to really tamper it down. And we've got a really good group of moderators, but it is some of the most disheartening things not whenever, but a lot of times when we show women's disc golf for multiple reasons, whether it's critique on form or critique on bodies or critique on
outfits
or anything,
or significant others, everything.
It's unfortunate that because you don't see that nearly as much on the men's side. I mean, on the men's side, there is some critique about significant others, and we've talked about that before. But you're right, with the FPO, you do see a lot of non-golf related critiques and golf related critiques for that matter. I mean, I've heard, I can't count the number of times I've heard people say that about your forehand, that you're not going to be able to play in a year because you're going to throw out your knees, your elbows, your arms, your shoulders. And all I keep thinking is like, she's been doing this for years, guys, and she's going to go out and kick your butt. So
simmer down.
Yeah, so simmer down.
Yeah.
But it's
kind of been a decade now.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'll say you're right. The comments online can be brutal at times, for sure.
Yeah.
People just love drama, you know.
They do.
I mean, the other day
They really
they really do. The other day I got asked, and the guy was like very nervous to ask me this question. He goes, "So, my buddy told me to ask you what's up with you and Paige," you know, and I was like, I don't know. We play together. She's my friend. I don't know. He's like expecting me to like be upset about something. And I'm like, well, she did beat me like almost every tournament this year. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you mean. What's up with me and her? You know, or like people love to ask questions about our relationships.
Yeah.
But we all know each other very, very well. And, you know, we all have different relationships with each other, but overall we all get along pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but I will segue briefly just for a moment to Paige. Is she taking a page out of the Sara traveling handbook? Did you see possibly? It looks like she has a van of sorts and putting a bed in there and going to travel around possibly.
Oh, wow.
She may be doing it the Sara Hokom van style. Did you see that?
It is. I have not seen that yet.
Okay.
But it is the way to go. It sure is. I love mine. I mean, I can stop the best thing is I can stop anywhere and sleep. I mean, I'll often stop at truck stops, just pull over the side, grab go to the parking lot. It's usually lighted, has bathrooms, also has cameras. So it's a lot safer than a rest area. And I just, in the middle of the day, if I'm super tired because I'm driving all day, or at night, if I can't quite make it to my destination, I don't have to, hit up the other disc golfers at all hours of the night and say, "Hey, can I sleep on your floor?" It's my favorite part for sure.
Okay, well, I think it's a growing trend, and I know I think back to being in Texas and seeing Joe Revere, and Joe, who's put a ton of energy and effort and time into converting his van to being a travel van, and he's like so passionately like lecturing me like every one of our pro tour players should be doing this. This makes so much sense. And he's like, I'll help out anyone. And it's the way to go. And listening to him get so excited and passionate about how he's, done his conversion. And I just think he sees that it's one of the most economical things you can do right now for our true touring players like yourself. Maybe not the people that are, I think of a Nate Dawson, a Val, who aren't going to tour every single weekend as hard as you are anymore. I know they already have a van, but if they were getting into it now, a van may not be the best move, for them in the next 10 years if they didn't already own one. So it's great to see.
Yeah, and also if you split the gas, I mean, that's the big thing.
Sure.
So like traveling around by yourself is economical, but it's a little bit, the gas makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it would probably save me like 8 G's a year if I had a travel companion.
So is that going to happen? Is that going to happen in 2018? Or are we going to see?
I hear Vanessa wants to travel. She's on the board.
I know,
Vanessa.
Right? She'd definitely be pretty high up there on the list of people I would like to travel with.
And even that's a challenge in itself. I know we've got everyone's got their friends on the tour and people you hang out with more or less frequently, and all of that is fine and dandy. But a commitment to anyone of any same sex, opposite sex of any kind, that's a pretty serious commitment. Sharing that living space, essentially almost like a 24 or maybe a 20-hour day together, except for the 4 hours you're playing within your own division. That's a major commitment to any traveling partner.
Oh yeah, we should come up with a list of questions that you have to, or just discussions that you have to have with the person that you are traveling with, just to make sure that you're compatible.
Have everyone?
I mean, this is almost like a relationship. Like you gotta
have everyone take one of those personality tests, and then we can pair off golfers. Like, oh no, this says that you would be the perfect touring partner for Zach Melton.
Yep.
Here you go,
Yep.
Zach.
Instead of match.com, it would be like matchplay.com or
There
something like that.
You nailed it.
Huh? Could come up with,
tourbuddy.com.
I guess depends on where you post that one to her.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of considerations there, and I'll even insert myself a little bit there. This year we brought on a cameraman that we used for pretty much every live event. He's a Madison guy, Chad Inman, super great guy, and I was just kind of processing just last night with another buddy, talking about what it takes to go. And again, we're not on the road quite as many days of the year as you are, for instance, but you're sharing a hotel space, you're sharing close living quarters, you're sharing, airport rides and Uber rides and rental cars, sometimes 10 or 12-hour drives, all of those things. So even on our perspective, there's some give and take that needs to happen. And I think everyone's just thankful I got a CPAP machine this year, so my snoring won't bring down any houses like it would have a few years ago. So I don't know. Your short list might include Vanessa, as you said. She's ready to go, right, Vanessa?
Yeah, she is.
So real quick, let's talk about the PLO specifically. Congratulations on your win.
Mm-hmm.
You had a 3-stroke lead going into the second round. You tapped in the last putt. I think I referenced it in the video. You tap in the last putt, but you truly had no idea where any of the scores were. You didn't know if you won or if Kat or Vanessa or if someone off the second card maybe caught you. You had no idea. Is it fair to say that ignorance might be bliss sometimes, but hasn't it burned you once? No.
Oh, you must be referring to Green Mountain.
Rocky Mountain.
No,
or Green Mountain. Yeah,
it was
and
Green Mountain at the end.
Yes.
Sure. Well, I mean, you say burn me, but I don't know if I would have even been in the position I was had I known how close I was prior to all of those shots.
True. Different pressures. You may have put different pressures on yourself earlier, and that you may have struggled earlier to not even put you in a position to potentially, tie or go for a win or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I probably need to find a better balance between not knowing the score and knowing the score when it matters.
Just hole 18. I think that's honestly, I think that is a key point. You could argue 17, like, oh, I really need to get 2 birdies to win, depending on what your goal is at the event. Obviously, your goal is always to win, but if your goal is to finish well, knowing the scores might, depending on your mindset, might hamper you. But I always think if you think you're slightly in contention at hole 18 with the technology we have now, check the scores, because that is the spot where at this point you've got 1 hole to go. Just take a look and be like, where am I? Oh, I'm up by 1, or oh, I'm down by 1. Or I'm tied. Or,
should I be running this? Should I go for a high percentage or a low percentage shot? Do I just need to not bogey and I walk away with the win? All of those types of things. What's going?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just a baby, but I, a baby in this mental game thing. But I have not figured out how to play well when I know that I have to. When I know the scores, I try to focus on each shot at a time. And on that, that last hole of the GMC, I was going for the birdie. I was trying to get the 2, regardless of where I was. And it wasn't a hole where, I could go out of bounds easily and, bogey the hole. I knew I could get the 3 pretty much no matter what shot I throw. And I was going for the birdie. There's no, and I don't, I'm not going to try to play such a low percentage shot that I'm going to go for like an ace. In a situation like that, I mean, me trying to get the birdie is me trying to ace it at the same time.
Sure.
I feel like a lot of times I don't have options. I mean, throwing the chip shot up there and then chipping up my putter and then tapping out is almost no different than me throwing my normal shot, which I'm going to hit 9 out of 10 or 19 out of 20 times, and then pitching that one up there. I mean, if I have a look at the putt, and most of the time I make that putt, I'm going to. If I think that I'm not going to make it, I don't go for it. It's not a popular way to play, and it's pretty boring. sometimes, but man, it pays off with consistency.
Yeah.
You know, I do what I can do, and I live with that. And I'm not, and honestly, my goals are not necessarily, this is also not a popular answer, but my goals are not to win. My goals are to execute the shots in front of me.
And if that leads you to a victory, then
Bonus.
that's a bonus, I guess. But
And I'm not playing against any of the other girls out there. I'm playing against the course. I mean, that's for me, that's the best way to play. Maybe someday I'll progress to be able to be more aggressive and to put more of a personal thing on the people I'm playing with. But man, I sure like it where I can play against the course and I can just do what I can do out there.
And I
It
think
makes the game more enjoyable.
I think that's a totally fair statement in that I think you summarize it perfectly by saying, I'm playing the course regardless. I think that's a great way to look at it.
Not very dramatic though.
Well,
like, she beat me, or aha, I beat her, or man, I was going for that ace on that last one, so like you get the birdie.
Yeah, it was.
I know it's boring to talk about on your side of the game.
I mean, it's another, and it's funny because I think about sometimes when I'm walking along with and this could be any men's card. It doesn't have to just be lead card. You're walking along. Some players are very vocal about what their plan is, or they're thinking about score. And I think one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard is, I think it came from Paige at one point, was something along the lines of, I don't really want to put a score out there because then as soon as you're off pace with that score, then you sometimes push yourself or you pressure yourself or you feel let down. If you think, oh, I'm going to shoot a 10 down, but that means I need to birdie the first 4 holes. Well, when you don't birdie one of the first 4, now
feel like you're behind.
You feel like you're behind and you're pressing. And I think just that overall mentality is a good one, to not put that pressure on any specific hole or any specific score round in and round out. So I think that makes sense. So you walk off the course, though. I say, no, I'm pretty sure you got it. And honestly, I didn't know the exact scores, but from what I gathered, I just knew you had a 3-stroke lead over Katrina, and then you had even you had a 6-stroke lead over Vanessa, who played incredibly well, but I knew it didn't seem like, it didn't feel like she had enough to catch you, and you walk away with a 3-stroke victory, and not a bad way to wrap up your Phoenix trip.
Yeah, I definitely did not know where I was. I mean, Vanessa had made so many putts. I also did not know where she was, and I actually kind of assumed that she had caught me, and I thought that Kat might have caught me as well.
Sure.
Just like I like to forget about bogeys in my game, I had kind of forgotten about some of her bad luck in the round, and she got a lot of birdies as well. So yeah, I did not know. I didn't even want to know the scores when I was going into the second round to know where my margins were.
Yep.
Because otherwise I get stuck in this game where I keep track of how many I have on the girl behind me.
Exactly.
And as much as I try to block it out, it creeps into my brain, and it's more of a constant battle of resetting myself to the current shot at hand and not thinking, okay, that was now I've got her by 4 or now I've got her by 2, or she's got me by 1. Like all of that is just distraction from what I'm trying to do.
Well, and it was really funny because at the end of the first round, during lunch, I think I said something to you like, good round. And, what did you shoot, or where's the next person, or the scores? And he said, I'm not really sure. I don't really care. And then I said, well, spoiler alert. I think you're going to be teeing first during the second round, which would give you the indicator that you were, in fact, the leader. So it was funny to see just how much you didn't care, and I understand that mentality, especially it's just half the course done, or half the event done. You got to go out and you still got work to do. So great event.
I like your response there too. I remember when you said, yeah, you might be like in third or something, but I think you're going to tee first this time.
Exactly. I mean, I know I keep gushing about it, but it was my second year at that event, and Peter Ulibari and Michael Spencer and Spinners Keith and just all of and Ashley and everyone, just as you said, puts on such an amazing show out there. All the supporters, the sponsors, Paul Sacco, I believe it is, for helps do so much of the fundraising and is kind of your presenting sponsor along with Prodigy this year. Just you could go on and on and on with all the amazing people to make that event happen. So I want to say, congrats, but also thank you to everyone. I'm glad I could be there. It was the second year, and I hope to cover it as many more years as they're having it.
Yeah, and I was really glad to see Vanessa get out there. I've played with her a few times casually and in competition in the Vegas area. And like you saw, if you've watched the video, she's got a killer putt, and she's really fun to hang out with. We had a good time on the cards playing together. Lots of inside jokes. Just I don't even know where we came up with this stuff.
Well, and I, as I was telling earlier in the show, just everyone, it's. I'll go ahead and say it's no surprise that you won the event. That wasn't the big news. The big news, I feel like, that outshined almost a little bit is just the fact that Vanessa and Kona, two new fresh faces, and then watching Vanessa throwing these putts from everywhere and come in with that great second round. But at the same time, both you and her having such a great time as the round unfolded. It spewed out all over the video, and I think everybody really enjoyed that. So looking forward to seeing her a little bit more on tour as well.
Yeah, hopefully she can get out there. I think she's going to try to make it happen. So somebody pay some entry fees for Vanessa. Offer to put her up at your place. Yep, there's a couple things you can do. Hit her up, like her Facebook. Don't be creepy, though.
Yeah.
That's weird. Don't do that.
A good call. Just going to clarify.
Yeah, there's a line. There's a line. Let's not be creepy.
Hey, Vanessa, I got a place for you.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
We don't need creepers. So we're coming into the off season. We've got a few. I'm sure you're going to play a few events here and there. But do you have any off season? A couple of years ago, I think it was 2 years ago now, you did 100 putts in 100 days or whatever it was. Do you have any sort of routine or off season regiment that you're going to be going after?
Yes, it consists of my training program with Disc Golf Strong. Mm-hmm. And daily putting, weekly field work, and then kind of ramping up my strength with my strength program, and then working on. I don't have a daily putting routine set out at the moment, but it will look a lot like my 100 putts for 100 days, something like that. I may not be keen to put it on social media, all of it, but I'll definitely be posting about different things I'm doing. I like to play different games every day with my putting, keep it fresh. So I'll be doing some of that and working on my backhand as usual. Thank you, haters.
You'll show them, damn it. I can't wait till next year when you come out to an event and you throw all 18 tee shots backhand.
I don't know if that will ever happen.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
I would never
everybody
say
be
never.
like, minds would just be blown. Like, what? Oh my gosh.
I got up to 30% once. One tournament, I threw 30% backhand off the tee.
Yeah. Well, so a question I was thinking about earlier, when you talk about putting, you talk about spin putting, maybe getting a little bit extra distance or more accuracy from long range. Everybody on the tour, we see so many different styles, and we have all these great relationships with so many people week in and week out. Is there anyone you would just flat out ask for advice? Would you go to I think of a Ricky Wysocki, who has clearly his style of loft putt, and then on any given moment, Ricky's like, oh yeah, it's windy and it's 100 feet. I can throw, with a low ceiling, I can throw a spin putt, 50 miles an hour and make it. Like, he doesn't just toss them up and hope they go in. Like, he's just as deadly that way. Would you approach a Ricky Wysocki or anyone else in particular and say, hey, can we talk putting for a few minutes?
Yeah, actually, that's what I've done in the past, and I would definitely do that. Let's see, a combination of Dave Feldberg, Des Redding, John Baldwin, and Ricky Wysocki are who helped me develop my putt as they are now.
Okay.
As it is now, and I would definitely go back to those guys at any moment and ask them for help. In fact, I will. It's in the plan this winter to talk to Ricky a little bit, because he has the push putt that I'm looking for that has a little bit lower arc than mine does. But he's also the one that taught me how, him and Dave are the one who really helped put my putt together as it is. So, it got to where it is somehow, and now I need to kind of dial it into a little bit different stance.
Okay. I just I can't remember if it was Green Mountain. It was an event later in the year, and there were, I think, twice during a round where Ricky just flat out had to change if he was going to go for the putt, which he always is, because Ricky doesn't know how to lay up, I don't think, or nor does he ever need to. But there was a couple of situations where he had to go to a spin putt, and I think he made them both, and I was just like, oh my, it just doesn't matter. And
I've conceded to I've conceded those, I have
Sure.
to say, okay, I'm toss it under the pin and move on, because I don't feel confident in my spin putt from very far. So,
okay.
But, that's what all those skills, there's so many skills in this sport. And I'm just thankful that I have a few more gears in my abilities to get better and better. Some people kind of have maxed out on some of their skills, and I think I can get so much better at a bunch of different things.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Like when people talk about, the top 3 or 4 women in the world, your name is always up there. And to think that someone says, oh yeah, I've got a lot of skills I can work on yet to get much better. That's an intimidating thought for a lot of other women, I think.
Yeah. Do we not get more women? Cause good women like yourselves, we have this uppermost echelon of women that scare away other women due to skill sets. Do you ever think about that? Did you sandbag it a little?
People sometimes say that. I don't buy that.
Okay.
Honestly.
Either do I.
I don't buy that. I think that women are kind of getting priced out of the sport.
Okay. And by that you mean things like travel expenses, and in that sense, or not enough prize money, or entry fees are expensive.
The combination of travel expenses, higher and higher entry fees, less support from sponsors, more excuses on why they can't support women, just less general support for women from the public.
Okay.
To break through that little threshold of being able to make it on tour is a lot more difficult for the women's side. A man who's on the cash line, or just above the cash line, he's on the lower end of the touring group, is going to make enough to cover his expenses. Plus, he's going to get more sponsor support. Whereas a woman on that kind of that cusp, that cash line, is going to miss cash a bunch of times because our division is so cutthroat. They're going to have to pay the same amount of entry fee, and they're going to make less when they do cash, and they're going to get a lot less support from their sponsors. So and also, generally women's mentality, I feel, is a little bit more conservative financially. And so they're less likely to gamble with their money. And I think that also makes women more apprehensive about jumping into the open division, even when they are on that cusp.
Well, and not just jumping into the open division, I think just touring in general. I know it's probably a bad stereotype, but we were always taught as kids that women mature at an earlier age than men, and they're, I won't say smarter, but they tend to be less risky. They're probably smarter. I'm not gonna lie. I've done a lot of stupid things. That if you look at it financially, you say, I could go out on tour and probably spend a lot of money, and I could have fun and this and that, or I could stay home, play a couple events locally, get some job, make money, blah, blah, blah.
Be more responsible.
Be more responsible. Yeah, Terry nailed it. Be more responsible financially. And it's a tough situation to be in.
And then they're going to reason away the idea of playing even regionally, because they're like, well, they're not going to play the big events because it doesn't make sense to, because they have a regular day job and they don't want to dedicate $230 of their entry fee money to go and not even have a chance to cash, and then they can reason it away saying, well, I don't play for a living. These girls are touring all over, playing every single weekend, playing every single day, practicing, and they don't want to put their hat in the ring when the odds are stacked against them like that.
Yeah, it's a vicious circle. Sometimes it feels like we're chasing our own tail a little bit. I'm
really advocating for local clubs and local businesses and local leagues to sponsor their local pro woman to play the big events. I think a lot of times that little bit of entry fee is what's stopping them. And if they can just get that little bit of help, it'll motivate them to play their local event and represent their local area in the tour, and they won't feel like they're going to break the bank and not be able to feed themselves by contributing to the tour.
Sure.
The entry fees.
Well, it's tough because and I'll admit, I just a few days ago reduced entry fees for the C tier I was running. Someone had said, like, you're hosting a 1-day C tier. It may be efficient and well run, but it's a 1-day C tier, and the entry fees seemed a little bit steep, and especially right around the holidays. And I actually, and it's only $10, but I brought everything back on the Saturday divisions by $10. And I think like you said, when you're looking at these entry fees for an event to an event, and some women do or don't have the expectation to cash or a reasonable expectation to cash, can that just, like you said, just price you right out of the idea of even going? And how much should or shouldn't that factor in? I mean, I think it's fair to say none of us ever were playing disc golf to get rich on the men's or women's side. It's just a matter of how much money do you really want to throw at it for that day. And, what's your outlook? Is that $70 or $60 or $230? Is that disposable? Is that going to prevent you from eating that week? Everyone's situation is just a little bit different, and when some people say, it's entertainment to me, I'm going to go and I'm going to have a good time, and I don't have any expectations. I mean, everyone has just that slightly different angle, and getting everyone on the same page may never happen. It's tough to say.
Yeah, just one of the many things that is kind of making the sport inaccessible to women. My other big push on that is, I'm just going to get on a soapbox for 1 second here.
That's what you're here for.
Is bathrooms.
Yeah.
There have to be bathrooms at a course. If there's, the men don't get this part. And I'm sorry that, we have to have bathrooms. I know that we can pee in the woods and, pop a squat just like everybody else, but it is not comfortable.
No.
And even as someone who's an outdoor lover, nature lover, backpacking, I like to rough it. I don't really like peeing in the woods. I definitely don't like going number 2 in the woods.
And there's,
so when they're not bathrooms, it's a huge problem.
There's an expectation, like, that's acceptable, I feel, if you're camping. Like, oh, it's 8:00 at night, I'm going to go quick take a 10-minute break in the woods. That's not acceptable on the course.
Yeah, that too.
I don't
Most
even.
of the time, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I don't even like it as much. I understand when the men do it.
Sure.
Like, I would prefer that they use a restroom. I think it adds a professional layer to our sport rather than,
seeing somebody having to duck out all the time.
Duck out into the woods for whatever reason. I got a chuckle because I think it was during one of our last broadcasts at the finale. One of the women had like ducked off somewhere, and I heard in the background, like, where'd she go? Like, oh, she went in the woods to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, really? Like, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like, that is very unfortunate. And I know we're not a soapbox here for the Pro Tour, but I know the Pro Tour has talked about having more restrooms on site, and I hope more events on top of that go ahead and spread them out a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, it's got to happen. I mean, and not even just for events. I'm talking about your home course.
Sure.
If your home course doesn't have a bathroom on it, I don't know how much it costs to rent them, but maybe that's a really good use of club funds. Like, women, especially when they first come out to play around, they're not going to necessarily know what to expect unless someone says, hey, there's not a bathroom out there. Make sure that we stop at this gas station before you can use the restroom, or there's not a bathroom out there. So, don't drink a bunch of water and dehydrate yourself, a lot of women don't want to pee in the woods, and I don't blame them one single bit. And if we want to make it more accessible to women, we have to have more bathrooms. There needs to be a bathroom every course. The club can rent a porta potty.
Yeah.
It is an expense, but that's how women will feel more comfortable being out there. I once took a woman out for the first time to play golf, and we got to in this particular course, there was not an open bathroom. They had the county bathrooms, but they weren't open right at that point for whatever. It was like fall or winter or something. And the poor woman had to go number 2 in the woods the first time she played disc golf. And guess what? She never came back. Like, I mean, when there's these unexpected things that happen, like not having access, like women assume that wherever they are doing something, that they're going to have access to a bathroom somewhere.
Yeah, and that's a pretty fair and reasonable expectation here in 2017 in the U.S. That's a pretty fair and reasonable, something that we, I think, can all get on board with. But like you said, it can be a legitimate challenge. I think about even local courses. I think about how many bathrooms there are, where they are county or city bathrooms open at that location. I then immediately, and it's not to dismiss it in any way, I then immediately think of the porta potties that are usually placed throughout a lot of our courses. You inevitably have those jerks, those idiots, those dick bags, as we call them, that then go out and then vandalize the one bathroom that is there. It's just this ridiculous problem that we'd love to get addressed. But yeah, you bring up so many great points about how unwelcoming and how uninviting that is for a woman to want to return to a facility or a place like that. If you're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going out there for 2.5 or 3 hours and there's one really disgusting bathroom at best out there, or none. So that's a very valid statement.
Of horses that a lot of horses don't have proper woods to even try to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, plenty of them are in a public park with just, big park trees and, there's so many places. I mean, think about, the PLO. There's no place to go off into the woods and go to the bathroom there.
No. Your two best bets were, essentially around the starting area, and then, maybe when you got back around Duke's, and even that course, relatively short, relatively compact, in terms of, big, wide, much bigger courses like an Idlewild. But you're right. There's still their challenges there. I guess that could be said in a lot of places. Really makes me rethink a lot of the courses and the opportunities for bathrooms that are out there. It's a challenge.
I mean, all the men out there, just just picture this for 1 second. Just picture that every time you went pee, if you had to pull your pants all the way down and expose your butts.
You don't do that?
Just picture that.
I mean, that's how I do it.
That's how that's how Terry does it.
Johnny knows that's how I do it.
It's really weird. We go to a movie and I'm like, really, right here? That's well. No, you could say it the other way. Just imagine every time that an MPO or a man went into the woods to do number 1, that he had to do number 2. Just as inconvenient as that would be. That is.
I mean,
I don't want to harp on this shitty subject. But,
hey,
but you're right. There's definitely room for improvement on a lot of these fronts, and hopefully we can see that over the next couple of years. And with people as outspoken and public as you, it
helps shed light on it.
It does. It helps shed light on things that other people might not think about. So,
all right. Well, that's quite a conversation piece to end on. Now, is there anything else you want to share with us, Sarah, before we do let you go?
Man.
Did you sign up for GBO? Let me ask that quickly. The registration opened tonight.
I did get in.
Yes.
Yes, I did. And that's about the $700th I've spent on entry fees in 2 weeks.
Yeah, committing.
That's hurting the pocketbook a bit, but
I understand that. But let me follow that up, because Christy on the board and others say that, you guys are outlaying a ton of money right now. I understand that, and I totally get it. Is it nice, though, that you don't then have to think about it come event time, or as the event gets closer?
It feels like all profit. Like, oh, great, I just won
$1,200.
$1,200, and
you consider it an investment, in your future, but it doesn't accrue with time. In fact, I would really, if you think about the financial side of it, it would be much better to keep that in my pocket and invest it otherwise in ways that I could actually make money with it. And, pay at the last minute is kind of otherwise, I'm going to have $4,000 out there, when it comes to the whole season, just this money just sitting out there, just waiting until I show up to the tournament and hope to win it back.
What would be your ideal, if it were up to you solely, and this probably won't be practical, but what would be your ideal payment time frame for just thinking about 2018, you got all these events, you're going to play, let's just say we'll round to 25 events. When would be your ideal for you personally? You're like, yeah, here's when I'd love to make my payment. When would that be for an event?
Per event, I'd like to make it, the week I show up there in cash.
Sure. Okay.
And some TDs are really good about that. I can sometimes call ahead and say, hey, I really want to play your event, and but I don't have the entry fee. And sometimes they do put me on the list and let me pay when I get there, as like just a courtesy to touring pros. Some TDs do that.
Yeah. Now I'm going to flip that and say, is it also nice right now that some of these events are either sold out or can show that they have this commitment level from all these various pros that have paid? I mean, do you see, I guess, their angle, their side as well?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I mean, if I was in my ideal situation, there would be some kind of a touring classification of player that allowed you to kind of get a cashless entry fee. And also that our entry fees wouldn't continue to rise.
Sure.
The entry fees are rising way higher than the purses, the sponsor added cash. And I think that should be the opposite. That's fine if the entry fees are going to rise a little bit, but the sponsor added cash is, I think, what we should be playing for. I really don't like to play for, Katrina Allen's rent money,
sure,
or Paige's car payment, or Jessica Weiss's insurance money. I don't really like to pay. I don't really like to play for my fellow competitors' money. I would much rather play for just sponsor added cash. And I think that it's not necessarily practical to move to only sponsor added cash being the payout, and there's no vetting system for like a Q school of sorts. Sure. And a qualifier for the pro tour per se. But I mean, I would love to see us moving in the direction of less focus on each other's entry fees and more focus on sponsor added cash.
I think that's pretty universal for most players that want that. I mean, the more sponsor added cash you have in there, the better our sport is clearly doing. So I agree with that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that most pro ball golfers don't. I mean, you have to. Somebody maybe can correct me here, but I don't think that they pay entry fees. They're.
I think they might still pay them, but they're minimal compared to the amount of money that the sponsorship it could be added in there. So it's virtually. I mean, if you're going to take home, we'll just say a major PGA event, and you're going to win $1.2 million. Really, what is your $5,000 or $1,000 entry fee really mean to you? And odds are you're probably having your sponsor pay for that anyway. But does it, that's a fraction of a fraction, as opposed to you dropping $230 and winning, $1,500. There's that's compressed so much. So I can understand that, and I hope we do get to the point where, we can help support our touring players that way. But I think that
the amount of cash in the purse itself, how much of that is coming from entry fees, is kind of that percentage is what I'm looking to decrease.
Yeah, and I think right now the generic, and again, as a TD myself, this generic stock or easy answer is when people sometimes say, "I'd like to win more money." I think the easy response can be, or one of the easy responses can be, okay, well then I'll raise your entry fees. Like if you want to win more money, an easy way to do that. Now, of course, another TD could say, well, or yeah, I could go out and try and raise more money. I mean, of course, that happens as well. I'm just saying, I know when my entry fees had crept up for a few events, I kept thinking people are like, oh, well, when I win I win this event and I only won X amount of money. And I'm like, yeah, that's what the event is. Like, it is what it is. If you want to win more money, you could pay more money to get into it. And of course, your better players seem to be okay with that, but that may chase out some of your lower level players.
And CDG tells me, he clarifies, he's that PGA Tour players don't pay entry fees, but the lower tier tour players do. So maybe that's what I was thinking. We'd had this discussion before, and I think someone had, maybe it was even Steve Mills, had talked about entry fees at one point. He was attempting to do PGA stuff.
Country Disc Golf says a lot of ball golf prize money comes from the PGA's TV deal. Well, I'll tell you right now, Smashbox is not beefing up your purse anytime soon, Sarah. I wish we were.
Sorry.
But not anytime soon.
It's going to be a Patreon. Let's go.
There you
Do
go.
it.
Exactly. All right, Sarah. Well, we are gonna let you loose. We're gonna shortly have a quick update from Dave Feldberg and the via a little video that they put together for us for the next gen that's coming up this weekend. A new car being given out to the winner. That's pretty crazy to see and hear, isn't it, Sarah?
It is. I'm excited to see how that tour continues to develop.
Exactly.
You know, they're working hard to try to make something new and different, and there's some kinks to work out, and it's only their first year, so just like all things, we gotta just give them time and support what we like about them. If they're not gonna offer, like I can see the world tour, like, if they don't want to, they think the one Division I champion thing is a thing, and I think obviously the people have spoken, and they haven't really gotten the support that they needed. Maybe that's not the only reason, but I mean, we just got to keep working hard at these things and make mistakes and learn from them and do better next time.
If there's anything we do well, make mistakes. So we know we're gonna.
We've perfected that.
Failure is the spice of life.
Exactly, and the only way you're going to improve. Well, Sarah, again, congrats on a great season. It's been awesome watching you play throughout all these events. You already know there's a heightened commitment to even more coverage that's going to happen from Smashbox. That's going to happen from me. I'm sure that's going to happen from other entities, including the Pro Tour and beyond. And we're looking forward to
the video coverage on the women's side has gone up like 500%.
And we're glad to do anything we can on our end, and we only want it to grow and thrive, and we're going to work hard to do our best. So looking forward to seeing you more. Maybe we'll check in later in the off season or as the new season starts to kick off, and then hopefully I'll run into you at some part in the country sometime during the off season.
Yeah, probably. I just want to thank you guys for being so supportive of the women's game, and then everybody out there who supports women's disc golf. And then my sponsors, Legacy Disc and Paragon. Big shout out to Miles out of Paragon.
That's a great
He's
commercial.
my longest standing sponsors.
That's a great commercial that you guys are doing. Yeah. You and AJ both have your own featured commercial that we've shown on at the Pro Tour broadcasts, and it's great. I love it. I think it's a really well done commercial. So congratulations on that.
Nice work.
Yeah, that was fun to shoot. So anyway, thanks guys. Thanks everybody out there who supports me.
All right, thank you. Have a great night, Sarah. Take care.
Peace.
All right, later. All right, again, 2012 world champion, and most recently,
I couldn't remember the year, so I didn't want to say it. I know she's a world champion. I just couldn't remember the year.
I don't. Well, usually because I've been at all of these worlds, it helps me. I know if I miss it now, I'll be the first to admit I haven't been at every USDGC, so I have no idea what years people have won them. I know how many times usually. I can kind of sort of guess. I know Will Schusterich was really good on the even years in taking the titles. And
12, 14, 16, right?
2010? Was that one of them?
Was it 10, 12, 14?
I don't know. I just know it was even years. And I know, Macbeth in his crazy year in 15 with his Grand Slam and all, but I wasn't at every single one of those. And when you go to the World Championships and you see that crowning moment, that's something I think I can recall the crowning pot of every champion that I was there for. But when watching that unfold it's just such a special moment, and
it really is.
It gives me goosebumps when I think about whether it's a Sara Hokom or an Eric McCabe or any of Paul's or Ricky's. Like it's great moments. Thinking all the way back to good old Kenny Climo. Hugging baskets.
Yeah, hugging baskets. Speaking of world champions, we've got an update here from Dave Feldberg, who's a world champion, about the Next Gen Tour. So we're going to play this pre-recorded clip that he sent us.
We're taking a little risk because this is also not previewed.
I have not seen this. We're
going to hope the audio levels sound great, and we'll make it work.
We'll make it happen.
All right, here's Dave Feldberg in the Next Gen Tour.
Hey, this is Dave Feldberg. I'm here in Fountain Hills, and the time has finally arrived. The Next Generation Tour National Championship in Fountain Hills, Arizona. It's this weekend. Don't miss the live broadcast at 11:19 on SmashBox Live. And we're just trying to get all the prizes together. As you can see, we got the trophies made by Synergy Art. We got the socks. Here's one of the Nixon watches. I had to try it on. Don't be mad at me, competitor. I'll put it back in the box. I just had to see what it looked like. And as you can see, we're building the packages. All the staff's coming in. We're here at the staff house right now. It's going to be a big week. And I just want to say, if you're interested, follow at nextgenerationdiscgolf.com. We got bracketology, free prizes. Free! That's what Terry says. Everybody's favorite word that starts with F is free. Just go on, create an account, and pick your winners. And follow us. Like I said in the interview, real important that you guys tune in and watch the live broadcast on Sunday, because we got to show the sponsors across the world that amateur disc golf is interesting and that you're interested in it. So follow nextgenerationdiscgolf.com on our Facebook page, and see you on Sunday.
Well, thanks, Dave. We appreciate that. There was some talk originally about having Dave on the show tonight for a quick update, but with having Sara on and Dana on, we tend to go on and on with people.
Yeah, so
and so I
a little more concise that way.
We made the point where, like, you know what, Dave, it might just be best if you send us a message that we can play, so that we don't sit and chat with you for 35 minutes about your favorite food, your favorite fast food or something. So thanks, Dave. We appreciate it. This Sunday, we will be showing the Next Gen Tour finale. So
1 p.m. Mountain Time. Is that what he said? I wasn't listening.
I was going to ask you a time.
You probably didn't have it in there, but it's 1 p.m. Mountain Time is going to be the cut to the semifinals with 16 competitors remaining. They will play 9 holes. They'll shuffle the cards, reset. We'll then get down to the final 5 competitors and then play that same 9-hole loop again. And then at that point, I'm guessing Dave will be handing off a set of keys to one individual. I think if it hasn't been started already, which it hasn't, there's no better time than now for the Next Gen Tour to start a tradition. You win the car.
And give it a smash.
And you jump in the fountain. Water.
You drive in the fountain?
No. You personally just jump into it. And then get in your car and let your car rot away.
You're not supposed to go in the water ever.
No.
Period. Whether B, that's nasty. Like, you're not supposed to go in, even if, like, your disc is in there. You're not supposed to. It's just against the rules to go in the pond. 2, it's nasty. You don't want to go in that pond.
Yeah, nasty.
Yeah,
don't go in there.
Please don't go in the pond. But as the Next Gen Tour brings up again, please make sure to go up, fill out your bracketology. Do it.
Totally free.
It's completely free. Let's give this kind of the March Madness feel. Let's show the amateurs that you can pick a name.
And
because you most likely only know your local guy unless you're looking at ratings and stuff, and then you.
Well, I'm going to go as far as saying it's almost hard to even still refer to them as an amateur, as they're going to be getting in a $17,000 item and pulling away. And I know they are. I know they are.
Cash. They got big taxes on that.
I'm just saying it's awesome that they're going to walk away with such a crazy prize.
It's going to be like $6,000 in taxes, depending on where you live.
I think in Arizona, I think they're doing it out of Arizona on purpose because it's only like $107 in taxes.
Really?
No, I just made that up.
I was like, wow, that's impressive that you knew that. No, I was going to say,
I don't know how much it's going to be, but
yeah. But either way,
that'll be their problem to figure out. Yeah.
It's a car. It's a good problem to have.
That'll be their problem to figure out. And you know what? There's bigger problems in disc golf than, oh no, what do I do with this brand new car? Anyway, so good stuff. We see Robert McCall from DD is out on the board. He's looks like he's joined us, chiming in. I guess we could real quickly. I wanted to take a look at the. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. Well, we'll save this for the after show. First of all, we'll give you a quick update as to where it stands and if there's any registration available left for the Glassblown Open, which, of course, is a PDGA National Tour event. Registration opened at 7 p.m. Central tonight. And then another topic of conversation that I think we might as well just throw into the after show instead. An event this weekend. There was a lot of hubbub. I think that's the official term. Hubbub.
Yeah.
That I believe, if it didn't start, it at least hit Matt Dollar's wall. Matt Dollar, pretty synonymous with throwing overhands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good after-show topic.
Yeah, a collegiate event in Texas gets an official waiver to not allow overhand tee shots, and that'll be your tees for the after show.
Do we want to talk in the after show about how one of our top pros did not know about our ratings updates?
We'll talk about that as well. About one of the best players on the planet not understanding
what ratings will and won't count.
Yeah.
Got a kick out of that.
We can talk about that as well. So I don't know if we've got anything else. Also in the after show, we'll be giving away a silly pint. If you are a Patreon supporter, you have the opportunity to win one of our silly pints.
You can do that by going out to I'll put it up right here.
For Patreon?
Yep. The mobro.co/Fierke and make a donation to Mike Fierke. I'm only seeing really, I think, 2 donations that were made.
And we don't even know if those were Smashies or if those were just other random donations.
I think there's one for sure. It might be private, this all activity, but I know that we can take a look at the website.
So there's 2 ways you can win a silly pint tonight. And let me recap. If you go out to the website Johnny just mentioned, mobro.co/Fierke, Fierke, and you make any form of contribution to Mike Fierke's, that's DG Mike, to his fundraiser for men's health and awareness, mental health and awareness. Whoever makes a donation there is then immediately eligible. Just screenshot it and put it on our Facebook wall to win a silly pint. The other way you could win a silly pint tonight, we're getting crazy here, is simply by being a Patreon supporter of any level. Every single week we have a giveaway. 1 to 6 weeks later, it shows up at your house once I mail it out. But all you have to do is be a Patreon supporter, and you will be automatically eligible to win a silly pint that way tonight. So 2 different ways you can win a silly pint, both supporting great.
Do we want to talk about media, our future possible broadcast now or in the after show? Your call.
Let's kick off the after show.
Kick off the after show with it. Okay,
what?
Perfect. So, all right, Terry, you want to close out the show then?
I'll close it out. It's what I do. So thank you to everyone for joining in. Tonight was podcast 169 here on November 14th, 2017. We'd like to thank Dana Vicich for his stats and news and information from around the PDGA Tour and beyond. We'd also, of course, like to thank Sara Hokom, our most recent 2017 Phoenix Ladies Open champion, giving us some insights from not just that event, but kind of a recap of her year and what we can look forward to seeing in 2018. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, we've got some great giveaways and some sweet action in the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 169 after show. Terry Miller, you're supposed to join me.
I like to keep it varied. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. You just don't know.
I don't. Well, we're here. It's podcast 169's after show. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Johnny V. We're going to have some giveaways tonight that are going to unfold here during the after show. Also, Disc Golf Nerd, I think you may get lucky and have me finally send out the request that you asked for like 6 months ago.
I've been hearing about it for 6 months.
I know. I'm going to make it happen tomorrow because I travel to Arizona in the next few days. I want to wrap up a handful of loose ends in terms of some shipping and get some stuff shipped out. And I think that very well may be your item. Dion Arlen's out on the board, the whip. Dion, we're looking forward to catching up with you. We'd love to see you and hear from you. Maybe even as early as next week or the week after might be perfect. Now that I think about it, because next week
we have Rusco.
We have Rusco during the show, and I may or may not be around for its entirety, and then possibly the week after. So we can be talking about that. I'd like to thank Matthew Q, who just became a super chatter. Thank you, Matthew Q, for your donation to our little podcast here tonight via the super chat feature on YouTube.
I'm assuming it's the same Matthew that maybe oh no, never mind.
Nope, different Matthew.
Different Matthew.
So thank you very much for that. And then we've got a little bit of news. As many of you know, in the after show, we get a little bit looser. We talk about disc golf, non-disc golf. We've had some pretty random topics throughout the last 160-some episodes. And we also interact with the board to a much higher degree. Usually we kind of see your comments. Sometimes I'll cleverly reword things that you've asked on the board and pass them off as my own smart questions when I'm interviewing somebody.
He does.
I do that. I do that really well sometimes. But
it's the same thing I do when you're on site and I'm talking to you. Sometimes people will message on the board like, oh, did you notice that so-and-so
Sexton's birdied the last 9 holes?
And I'll be like, hey, Terry, Sexton birdied the last 9 holes. And then Terry on like 2 minutes later be like, oh, yeah, we're getting word that Sexton birdied the last 9 holes from the third card.
We almost sound like a real operation at that point.
And at that point, yeah, whoever online, I'm always like, thanks for letting me steal your info.
That's what we do. We got to make it happen. We will, in fact, have Jeremy Rusco. There's a little tease for next week's show. We're going to have Jeremy Rusco and some DD action coming in. I know we talked about it a little earlier tonight. They've opened up, and if you're listening to the podcast, you're probably too late. They have opened up registration for the 2018 Glassblown Open. I believe the AM side was really ridiculously close to sold out in like most divisions. I know that advanced and intermediate sold out literally within the first 3 or 4 minutes. And the registration open for the MPO and FPO if you're 1,000 rated or 900 rated, respectively, for those 2 divisions. So that's one of the first waves that we're seeing. So Johnny V's got some big. This is big. How big a news is this? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Like for disc golf or for us?
For us.
I would say for me, I'm going to give it a good solid 5.5.
Okay.
So,
should we ask? We're going to give you just a minute.
Wow.
I want you guys to.
What do you think it is? On the board. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. I've got what I think is some fun, good news for Smashbox and disc golf in general. What do you think that news is?
Let me first lead. I'm going to go ahead and negate the first 60 entries, which are, no, we haven't contracted to cover the USDGC. Because I'm guessing, fair enough, that will likely be a very common...
We discussed that earlier in the show.
Well, I know we did, but I'm just going to go ahead and preface it and tell you right now that is not it. Although we did talk about that in the regular show a little while ago.
Yeah, we discussed the World Tour. I did think it was funny that Nate Sexton posted on Facebook today, like, I think he
said a ratings update.
He's feeling annoyed.
PDGA.com.
I think he said he's feeling annoyed that the ratings weren't put in for USDGC and for this year that he won. He shot a bunch of over 1050 rounds, and it struck me right away. And I think I was one of the first to respond. And I was like, I'm fairly certain you're not getting a rating for that. Like, it'll be rated round, but not in your rating because they use stroke and distance, and the PDGA is very strict now that when you have stroke and distance, that that you cannot, they will not give you a rating for that particular round. So he was, and I put that out there, and I went and looked at Will Schustrick, Eagle, and James Proctor because their ratings went back prior to USDGC based on the number of events that they had played, and none of them had got ratings for the year before as well. So needless to say, Sexton he wasn't super upset about it, but he was not happy about it. because he lost out on 4 1050 plus rated rounds.
And later in the thread, this is on his fan page, later on the thread, he said, I've really just kind of had the personal goal of 1040, of reaching that 1040 mark, and playing, four, I think as he said something about, and playing the best tournament of my life isn't counting toward that.
And it's an honest mistake, I guess, if you're not if you're more focused on playing and you're not into the nitty gritty of all the PDGA details like we try to be. I guess I can kind of understand that, not knowing that. But I will say, if your world rank / bonuses / whatever else might be reflected on that, that might be something you want to know. So I got a kick out of it, and Nate was super cool. We went back and forth. I even made a comment like, "This is the most pleasant back and forth I've had on Facebook in a while. Maybe he should be yelling at me about my political affiliation or something strange like that." So,
all right, Robert McCall with the one and only guess. I'm a little disappointed in everyone. Robert said that his guess for what the news was: Johnny is quitting his job to do SmashBoxxTV full time and cover all events live, all of them. And I said, that's a good guess, but that would be a -5 for me.
Robert McCall says the Pro Tour secured a TV deal on ESPN 8 The Ocho. Not far off. So let me spin a little yarn here. A couple months ago, probably about 2 months ago, there's a guy that I follow on Twitter who used to work for CBS, their fantasy football team. So I follow him on Twitter to get all the updated fantasy football news. So, someone gets hurt in practice, I'm the first guy that's going to be able to go out and pick up his backup, this and that. That's why I follow him. He posted out on Twitter and said, "Oh, hey, I'm looking for someone to do switching of a fantasy football show, like, switching on the computers." And I messaged him and I said, "Hey, what can it be done remotely? What equipment do you have? What do you use? This and that." He responds back and says, "Oh, here's the equipment that we use. I don't think it can be done remotely, this and that." And sure enough, it was, my $2,000 machine here was like an eighth of what their machines cost, and strictly. And I said, "Oh, here's the experience I have." I posted SmashBox. I said, "Hey, this is what I do. This is why I think I could do it." He comes back and says, "Hey, that's really freaking cool. Have you guys ever thought about putting that on TV?" And of course I laughed. I said, "Well, that's the dream. Sure. I'd love to have this on some sort of TV channel." Well, he works for a company called FNTSY now. They are dedicated to fantasy football, and they are looking for time to fill, more or less what it was. And he watched one of our live events. I forget exactly which one it was. I linked him to one of them. I think it was maybe Idlewild, and he said, "Hey, I really like this. This is pretty cool. Can we show it on our channel?" And the first thing I said was, "Well, yeah. I'm going to say yes without asking anybody, but yeah. I mean, what harms can you do?" So we've gone back and forth the past 2 months now, trying to work out some details, and not a lot of details have been worked out. But basically, what's going to happen is we are going to give them, the plan right now is we are going to give them the final round of all of our Pro Tour events. They are going to show it on their channel. Now they have, I'm going to bring up their website right here. Where to find About Us. I think that's where they have. So they have, they're on a couple different local cable providers, kind of like almost like a Value Net in Emporia,
Okay.
but dedicated more around the New York City area. Plus they're on, they've got their own internet channel, Roku, all this stuff. Like I said, it's FNTSY Sports Network. They're owned by a slightly larger company, but this is it. So I'm going to provide them a copy of our final round of each Pro Tour event. They are going to cut it up and put their commercials in it, but also leave our commercials in. So you're going to keep your next gen tour commercials. Yay. But you're also going to have the Innova commercials, the DD commercials, all this other stuff is going to be on their network. So over the winter, the plan right now is to show the Pro Tour events and hopefully ramp up that come March, we can then start with more time-sensitive information like the Memorial, the lead-off to the Pro Tour. This also means that we are going to be in contact, hopefully, with their sales team. So this could mean
Oh, we get bought out. Please tell me we get bought out.
Billions
Yes.
with a B. Billions with a B, Terry.
Good.
No, we might be able to work with, and Steve Dodge is involved in this, we might be able to work with the Pro Tour and resell what we're doing right now to maybe offset some income and maybe make it a little cheaper for Steve Dodge, maybe put a little
not.
extra money in our pocket, but expose the sport to more people. That's really what this comes down to. So they're going to play this on like Friday nights. The goal, or the plan right now, and it might happen not this Friday, but next Friday, might be the first one. I literally got the final email today saying, let's do this. It's been going back and forth for like 3 weeks. It's going to be shown on their channel, Fridays at 8, and then probably replayed sometime Saturday or Sunday in the afternoon. And then they're going to cut their commercials in, they're going to have our commercials in, and we're going to expose, hopefully, disc golf to more people because they enjoy it, they like it. There might be a fantasy angle, which really benefits me sometime in the future. But ultimately, it's a way for us to expose the sport to more people.
Nobody exposes themselves like we do.
That's a good point. Whether it's on or off the course.
On or offline, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
All in fantasy. Well, we'll see what happens. It's pretty exciting news. Let's just say I haven't exactly went and taken out the, applied for the loan for the Ferrari.
The McMansion?
Or anything of that
No.
nature yet. But
It's
regardless of if there is any financial implication to it or not, if it's just simply exposure, if it's a foot in the door somewhere, or if it's just another place for some massive distribution, it all seems like it's a good stepping stone. Who knows where it could go from there? I'd love that buyout, so I can do nothing.
yeah, same here. But so here's what I'm going to ask of our Smashies.
Uh-oh.
It's not much. When we finally do, pay attention to our Facebook page, because I think when they finally do show it online or on their channel, I'm gonna put a tweet and a Facebook message out, and all I'm gonna want you guys to do is kind of have a concerted effort to go out to their Twitter and Facebook page and more or less try to blow it up.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, this is awesome. I see, even if you didn't really see it, just say, I see you guys have disc golf on your channel. I think that's awesome. Reach out to them, and it might be in 2 Fridays, it might be in 3 Fridays. I'm not exactly sure, depending on, they've already got their schedule set for the next 2 weeks. But we want to make sure that we're known, that if they have this out there, that hopefully, if you can, watch it. I don't exactly know all the details. I'll get those to us on how you can watch. Like I said, I know they've got an Apple channel, Apple TV. I know they've got a Roku channel. They're on some actual cable channels. They used to have a Dish Network channel, but I don't see that recently, but I don't know how updated this is. So, and I'm going to be honest, there's zero money exchanging hands right now. We're literally giving them free content to show at this point in an attempt to further our brand and exposure. They've been very cool and accommodating. They even said, hey, do you guys want to throw something before and after, more or less promoting SmashBoxx and maybe the Pro Tour. So we might do that. We might record something and say, hey, you're watching the 4th round of the Discraft Memorial, and Memorial presented by Discraft. Let's catch up with the action as Paul Macbeth is going to win for the 12th straight year.
Ouch.
He wins the Memorial a lot. But I think it's kind of cool. It could be a small stepping stone. I'm really excited about being in contact with an actual salesperson. I'm excited about having our stuff out there for other people. I'm excited that it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's different.
And that they're interested in what we do. Because these are guys that work in I'd say the television industry, but that they saw it and they're like, hey, you guys do a really good job for what you do. I was kind of shocked. But he said he really enjoyed just putting it on and watching it. Because I asked him, you want some edited stuff? I've got some short form stuff from Terry, Disc Golf Guy stuff. And he's like, no, I want the 3-hour round. Which I kind of was like, wow.
You're the first to say that.
Because he feels like it's good filler time, but B, that it's more, he said it's more engaging.
Well, there.
And this isn't a post versus live argument.
Yeah, so take that, all you post producers.
Eat it, guys.
Like me.
No, but they think it's a better fit for what they want.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. We'll see. It can help the Pro Tour possibly with their sponsors. So if they say, hey, look, not only are you getting the you know, the 2 to 3 or whatever thousand concurrent viewers. You're going to get the after stuff, all the people that are going to watch the next day. But then we're also going to be able to put it on this cable channel where these people that don't normally watch disc golf are going to be. That could help out. And it might get us some outside sponsors, that thing that UC's looking for.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Anything can happen at this point. I'm excited and mildly optimistic.
Yeah. Again, not putting any eggs in this
Oh,
basket
not yet.
at this point.
I bought 2 Teslas.
Yeah.
Do you? That cool?
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, they're logoed Smashbox.
Yeah.
So one for you, one for me.
Yeah.
I just hope that
there's a check to ever pay on them.
Yeah. So that's our kind of big news. It's like I said, it's not huge news, but it's fun. It's exciting for us. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, we shall see how it pans out, and yeah, something different.
Yes, JV's having another baby. No, JVD is not having another baby. If the Van Derzen family has another baby, we got some problems. Problems upstairs.
Yes. Dad's drunk. So awesome news. Again, we'll keep you posted. Facebook, Twitter, and of course, we're going to want this to be as big as possible. Hopefully, to provide a little impact and get them to realize that we have some very engaged and passionate people that are out there consuming disc golf, and that it exists. And we, just like every time we get on ESPN, and I don't know if everyone knows or realizes this, the main way that we get on ESPN is, of course, there has to be a good shot. It's almost all but has to be an ace these days. But when that's recorded, hopefully it's caught on 1 or 2 cameras and it can be edited down. But then getting a little traction on Twitter is what makes it jump out at the ESPN execs. That's what we've always been told. That's what we've always done. That's why you always see the hashtag SC Top 10, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, that kind of stuff. This could be another one of those situations where a little bit of traction from the disc golf community and from beyond could really help show them that, hey, there's people that care about this and that are passionate and excited about it.
I'll find out if it costs anything to sign up for their service, if it's just a login thing, and if that's the case, maybe I'll ask a little bit more of you if you want to download and install like their Roku app or something along those lines. Every little bit of that stuff can count. If they see a small spike in their numbers and they look at, oh, hey, look at that. We got a bunch of people watching. And this is all going to be old content for you guys, because we're going to be playing the 2017 stuff, and we're going to hope to roll right into 2018 come March if everything goes well. So we will we'll hold our breath.
Yeah, exactly. Dad's Drunk, moving on a little bit, Dad's Drunk had asked if, in fact, we saw the statements or heard the statements, really, from UC regarding live coverage and Disc Golf World Tour and Ultra World. Yep, we covered all that. You're late to the party. Rewind a little bit. We talked about that in the regular show where UC... Now, was he audibly on the podcast? Was that how it went down?
It was a recorded interview they did with him and then played it.
Okay, with him. So that's all out there. Go ahead and listen to that if you'd like, where UC's directly interviewed, talking about the World Tour taking a break and goals and missions and
other possible live broadcast people coming in.
Correct, and all that stuff.
All that other good fun stuff.
That's all out there if you want to talk about that or listen to what he has out there. We already covered Nate Sexton, not knowing that it was that the USDGC, part of your overall ratings. Ratings updates did happen again today. So if you care about that sort of thing, go out to pdga.com, type in your PDGA number, and you may or may not have been subjected to a new rating of sorts, up or down or otherwise. And then also the other thing that we kind of closed out the regular show with a little tease talking about how the Texas State's Collegiate Championships, I think is the name, created a massive, massive stir this weekend when it became noted, very much so in the public eye on social media, that the event obtained a waiver from the PDGA
to cut off everyone's thumbs. You can't throw a thumber.
That would be great. Just somebody just sitting there with
like in Japan, how they weigh your discs. Just come here.
Oh, nope. Oh, right hand. Nope. No, they obtained a waiver that stated you cannot throw an overhand off the tee. You can throw it during approach shots. I'm sure you could putt if you'd like that way. But you cannot throw an overhand off of the tee at this event.
Interesting rule.
Very.
How I don't like it, but I understand it because of the newness of the course. My understanding is there's a bunch of young trees out there that are supposed to shape your drive when they get older and bigger, but they're not that way yet. So rather than create a bunch of triple mandos, they said, instead just say you can't throw a tomahawk, which is kind of funny because if you think about it, like, what exactly is a tomahawk versus a giant Sky Annie or a Spike Hyzer?
Correct. And I want to clarify, I just for full due diligence here.
That's a first.
I see. I know. I see. It says Texas Collegiate Disc Golf Championships made the post in Texas Collegiate Disc Golf, and so that's the source that I originally saw it attached to. It goes on to say, as some of you already know, the Flying Armadillo has some younger trees, and throwing overhand shots changes the way the designers wanted several of these holes to play. It is with this in mind that Des and Jay Redding have gotten a waiver for this PDGA event to restrict throws from the tees to no overhand throws. Just wanted to give you all a heads up for practicing. We could have made a bunch of triple mandos, but this general ground rule makes it so much easier. Yes, you can throw overhands after you have thrown your drive from each tee and on subsequent approach shots.
I don't like it. I'm to be honest.
If it's a waiver and it's granted and it's publicized,
of course they have every right to do it, and I wouldn't complain if I was playing. I guess I just think of it's not a danger. It's literally you're forcing someone to play the course to your standards, which I don't necessarily like. You know, it's I don't like that. I think of the shot at Worlds this year. Was it hole 9 at the Armory? Everyone takes a shot, or most people take a shot right down the gut. Simon and those guys took a big monster Spike Hyzer over everything.
Sure.
You could have put a Mando there. Sure.
Correct.
Because most people aren't thinking, oh God, they're going to go up and over.
Yeah.
But they can. And
if Simon can go over, he will go over.
He will. I just have this, it's a little bit of a sour taste thinking like,